get going. But we thank you for being here. We're going to tape this talk today, and hopefully we'll also have that shared on our social media channels. We will just go ahead and get started as other people stream in. But in the meantime, I want to introduce you to our guest and speaker for today. Eric Osiakwan is a celebrated Ghanaian investor and business developer with over 25 years experience across 32 African countries. He's a managing director at Chanzo Capital, specializing in investing in high-tech startups and scale-ups in Kenya, Ivory Coast, Nigeria, Ghana, South Africa. We have some mutual friends in the investment industry and collaborated over the last couple of years. Eric has a proven track record for building successful startups and organizations. His expertise spans business development, strategy, community building, project management, and the like. A wealth of knowledge in front of us, and that's why I really wanted him to come here. A lot of you are interested or are working on or are part of the YSAU acceleration program that we have been running, or you have your own outside startup that you're also working on. We know the ecosystem is young, and as much knowledge as needed needs to be shared by those who are playing in the ecosystems, as we say. It's important to hear from the OGs that have really made the ecosystem on the continent work, and we hope to bring that knowledge here in Uganda. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome to Eric Osiakwan, all the way from Ghana. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Teddy. It's an honor to be here. Thank you for inviting me. I can't believe we're doing this for more than 10 years now.
It's been a wild journey along the way, but before we get into today's topic, I think
I want to congratulate you for keeping Hive Colab. Hive Colab was one of the first innovation hotspots in Kampala.
Yeah.
And to keep doing that for this long deserves a round of applause. And so to you and your team.
Thank you. It has not been easy, nonetheless, but we've stuck here because we knew we were a little bit ahead of the curve in terms of providing space for tech startups, for general startups, but mostly for young entrepreneurs that really were looking to get their first leg into the, both the tech and startup ecosystem, and to figure out exactly how to get that done. We now have partners that are assisting us. ITC has been helping us with the acceleration process, and other partners that we have as part of the YSAU program and other accelerators that we're working on. So it's really finally right hitting the right notes in the ecosystem as the founders are now getting serious and investable, and I suppose that's why you were here.
Correct.
To make those investments and write those checks and.
I've done two already. So
yeah, you've done two already today, or this week.
Well, not this week, but we invested in two Ugandan startups already. We had Gara and Tripeser.
Yeah.
And we want to do more.
Yeah.
Because we definitely think that the seeds that you've sown over many years is now getting to the point where they're investable companies and companies that are investment ready.
Yeah.
So the programs that you ran and the community that you build is super important. Without that, we cannot invest.
Yeah.
You can just show up and even there's no other doing cool stuff, you don't have anything to do. So that's why I find it very important. So whenever I come to town, I want to come to the ecosystem, have these conversations, because this is the foundation on which investment is done. If this foundation is not there, you can come with a suitcase of money, you don't know what to invest. Okay, you just invest in real estate and do what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
So this is very important.
Yeah.
I can't emphasize it more than that.
So and I think the key one of the key things that I love about you is that you represent local capital. Right, you represent local capital because most of the investment we know that is actually coming to the continent is foreign capital. As we start off in terms of thinking about how you approach the market in terms of investing,
Before you go to that, I want to just double click on what you said. You know, I was lucky to be successful as a founder in Africa. We built an ISP called Internet. I was telling you about yesterday. I was hanging out with Elizabeth Tege, and the husband Barton were my first business partners. And then Charles Musisi, who was running the dots, who still runs the dots, Eugene String.
Yeah.
So this is now 2003. I first came to Kampala on a Kamba bus from Nairobi. I flew up here and as
that's old school, man. That's really old school.
Stuff. Yeah. And those guys made me feel at home. You know, I still see them as QE. Yesterday, you know, Elizabeth came out, you know, having a talk at Innovation there. She came out, so I felt so proud. I felt so good to see her.
Yeah.
You know, and these are people I've known for years.
Yeah.
And I've nurtured this relationship for years. So the point I'm trying to make is that, and Elizabeth is also now investing, Brad is now mentoring startups. You know, we are all trying to now pass it on to the next generation.
Yeah.
And that's how it works everywhere in the world. Unfortunately, the reality is that, you know, we are very few in between. You know, so there's not a lot of us.
True. But also that's why I love having you here to speak to that point.
And to be yourself.
Yeah.
You're also building companies, but you're already nurturing the next generation. Right?
Yeah.
So that's super important.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying this to patronize, but you know, if you go to Silicon Valley, it's the same thing. It's because Silicon Valley, you hear about it, because when people, you know, succeed, they have a responsibility to pass it on. So one of the things that you need to start realizing is that you're not going to be successful by yourself. You're only successful as much as the community you're part of. And so when you succeed, you must see the responsibility to be a shoulder and pass it on. And that's how you build local capital.
Yeah, exactly. And you're definitely leading by example. And the OGs that you were talking about, they're definitely our very respected elders in this ecosystem. So when you talk about when you talk about them here, we know like what they have done and the amount of work that they have put into actually building the ecosystem and the innovations that have actually led them to where they are. But like you said, there's not enough. There's not enough of us. And for those people who have that local capital mentality to actually write the checks or actually understand how to write those checks. Let's start with what was your transition from founder to writing that first check? Yeah.
So that's a very good question. So I never thought I'd be an investor. If I 20 years ago, if you interviewed me, I never thought I'd be an investor. So what I'm doing now is a real accident. But I really know and really realized that this is what I was meant to do eventually. So my entrepreneurial years was to prepare me for this. And this is a very important nexus for you to have. That whatever you're doing now is a foundation for what you actually will become. Mm-hmm. Because in life, we're all discovering ourselves, right? You know, this morning, I'm sure you figure something about yourself. You're like, what? Is that me? You know, I woke up on that side of the bed, not on this side of the bed. Right? You're used to waking up on this side of the bed.
Yeah.
So life is a continuous discovery. You know, so I really believe that, you know, you realize yourself sometime early in life, and then some people realize it later on in life. So I realized myself as a founder when I was 19. Right? That's when I realized, oh, okay, I'm going to be, well, I didn't realize myself as a founder. I said I'm going to work with computers when I was 19. Because I first saw a computer in high school and I fell in love with it. It was love at first sight. And then over time, I realized, oh, I'm actually an entrepreneur because my parents were not entrepreneurs. My mom was a teacher, my dad was a banker. But I think I inherited the entrepreneurship from my grandmother on my mom's side. One of them was very close to her, and she actually was the matriarch and moved the family from the village to the city. So through my entrepreneurial years, I raised money only once. From a lady called Esther Dyson, who you know. Esther Dyson invested in me in 2001. She wrote me a $50,000 check in New York. I'd gone to see her in New York. I started something called the Ghana New Ventures Competition. And I'd gone to see her in New York. And, you know, she listened to me talk, you know, the usual stuff, right?
Yeah.
She said, don't pitch me. Tell me about yourself. Who are you? Why are you doing what you're doing? So we spent some time talking. She gave me nice coffee.
Yeah.
It was cold. I walked in without a real cool jacket, you know. And then as I was walking out, she said, here's $5,000, you know, and then I will send you an agreement later on. And I never got an agreement from her. But that left an imprint on me. That somebody actually she had come to Ghana before.
Yeah.
So there was an ICANN meeting in Ghana that we hosted. And I remember when she came, she saw how I made them feel, how we hosted them. They felt, she's just, this guy is son of a ham. You know, so I didn't realize she had actually realized me already.
Yeah.
But I knew she was a super angel investor, so I was looking to pitch her. So anyway, but we hosted the event. I didn't ask her for money. We did a whole, ICANN is a big, in the field of your attack, ICANN is a body that coordinates the internet, right? It's a global body. I used to be part of that. I still believe I'm part of that. Anyway, so we had hosted this meeting in Ghana for the first time. So all kinds of people have been in Ghana, like you name it.
Yeah.
People, I mean, at that time, Esther Dyson was the chairman of ICANN. She had just helped start the organization. Anyway, so then I went to New York to see her. So after 30 minutes conversation, she writes me a $5,000 check, then kicks me out of the office. And I come back to Ghana, I was like, it left a real imprint on my mind. And that was the only money I raised. But the process of raising that money was very different. It wasn't the classical page, but it was because she told me later on, I knew you were building something. You would be somebody that would be very important to the continent. And I want us to be friends. And this is what she said. We're still friends today. She says so much. She shares my board. I go to New York, I will see her every time. She came to our Angel Fair in Abidjan in 2017. Last year she was going to come to Cape Town, but due to health reasons, she couldn't get on the plane. But, these are deep relationships. So the point I'm making is that my transition to become an investor came as a result of me realizing that I was lucky as a founder. The businesses I built in my early years were ISPs, Internet Service Providers. Here I work with Badru and his wife on InterNet. There was other guys here who had an ISP called Bushnet. I don't know if you ever remember. I'm a fan of those guys. It's the name of the ISP. It was Malcolm and some of those guys.
They're still around.
They're still around, yeah. And then in Kenya, we built an ISP called ISP Kenya. We did iBurst in South Africa. In Ghana, we built BusyInternet. And then when the mobile operator started providing internet, the first technology that mobile operator developed was something called Edge.
Yes.
Immediately I saw Edge, I knew the ISP business model was gone. I remember telling guys, the music has stopped playing. I said, what do you mean that music has stopped playing? We were dancing, he said the music has stopped playing.
Yeah.
But it was quite instinctive because it was clear to me that these devices were down at that time. And now they're smart. Everybody has a phone walking around. And if the phone is smart, the internet everybody will focus on that. Because back there, you see, what we provided was we used Visa. So we put a dish. So we come to this building, we'll put some dish up there. Like the thing that they use for DSTV. Thing. So we bring one that is a little smaller, and then we'll run a cable. Then we'll put a modem in your room, and then we'll put a Linksys. Linksys routers. Then we'll put a Linksys router. And then we'll share the internet. That's how we used to provide ISP business. Then we'll put a billing software on it. Yeah. So that was the basic model.
Yeah.
So the internet we gave you was static. So for me, when the mobile operators figured out how to get internet with the phone, ting ting, something went off in my head. I was like, everybody, this is going to be the future. So somehow I realized I wasn't part of the mobile game, but then I transitioned to build subsea cables. So my second iteration was I got a fellowship to Stanford. This I first went to the West Coast. And I spent time figuring out, because at that time, the ISP industry had become very competitive on the retail side. But going out of the continent, we had, in 2007, the whole of Africa had one subsea cable, one fiber cable, called SAT3. And actually, East Africa had none. Yeah. Because SAT3 ran from West Africa, goes all the way down to South Africa, goes to Mauritius, goes to India. The Indian Ocean had zero.
Yeah.
So around here was all Visa, and latency was very high. You couldn't run certain applications. So when we did open access model, the Kenyan government, there was a permanent secretary, a guy called Professor. He's now a professor, Bitang Demo.
Yes.
Read our paper and then said, "Hey, what do you want to come and help found the subsea cable?" I said, "Roger," because I had done the technical part, the theory part, and there was a chance to do the technical part. So I came to Nairobi. I remember it was 07 or 08. I got a TED fellowship for writing that paper. There was a big TED conference in Abuja. After that, I went to Nairobi. I spent 6 months. If you remember, 07 or 08, Kenya had election violence.
Yes.
During that time, when the country was burning down, we were busy connecting it. That's when we did that whole
So you're taking advantage of chaos.
There's always an opportunity in chaos.
There's always an opportunity.
Every chaos, whenever there's chaos, there's always an opportunity. If you look, you'll see it.
Yeah, if you look, you'll see it. That is interesting because it really takes me back even to the days of founding Hive Colab. Because 2007 to 2009, I was a blogger mostly, development blogger, and I was writing about undersea cables and the lack of the connectivity for Africa. So I was following all of the subsea cable being built, and I think teams, yeah, there was Seacom and all of those.
Wild, Easy.
Yeah, so that's when all of them started coming online. There was also an attempt by O3B.
Yeah,
for the satellite, which is weirdly now iterated by
Starlink.
Yeah, by Starlink, which is exactly the same.
That's the Mio satellite.
Yeah,
satellite that was closer to the Earth.
Yeah, Leos. Yeah, those Leo satellites. Anyway, we could.
History is fun.
Yeah, history is fun. History is prologue, as they say. But what I wanted to focus on in your story.
Let me finish the transition point.
Yes. Okay.
So then when we launched, so remember we sold most of the ISPs. So where I was a small minority shareholder, so I wasn't a big shareholder, and I got most of my equity through sweat. So I didn't really put money. But the guys who listened to me, we sold them with basic money. And then when we did the subsea cables, by the time the subsea cables landed, I had another flick in my head, another light bulb. I realized that subsea cables actually don't make money. The money, right, is made on the services that are on the subsea cable. So this is a very important thing that you have to realize. So you build very good technology, but you got to think about business models. So I realized that the business model of the subsea cable, what we said, we have put all our money into it. We owned about 2.5% of TVs.
Yeah.
We put all our investment into it. We did it with a lot of passion. Then I realized, then I was like, looking at the business model, I was like, wait a minute, this doesn't make money. So I just threw all my money in the sea. And then some guys offered to buy us. So that was the story. So that's how we exited. So we were one of the first people to sell. Because the services were being provided by who? The mobile operators.
Yeah.
Because the mobile operator was going to deliver the services up to the consumer. And we didn't have any mobile business. So, and we had sold the ISP business, remember?
Yeah.
So it just meant that I would just be sitting down and my money is just stuck. So, very important point. So when we sold, then it became clear to me. So it took some time when we started sort of play back my little entrepreneurial journey. And then I realized that, okay, this game is not for the big boys.
Yeah.
You gotta have deep pockets to be able to do this stuff. But then at that time, all through this history, I've been mentoring a few startups here and there. Like you were doing, the guys who come to me, hey, I'm starting a company, can you be a mentor, so I was doing all this stuff. And then I told him, I said, but I like doing this stuff. So one of the companies that I started mentoring became profitable. And actually, it's the most successful company in our portfolio. So, and then the second company that invested in e-com, that company was called, is now called Haptic. Used to be called SMSGH. And then the same company I started mentoring and then started putting money into was e-commerce. That company took 5 years to get to revenue. So in my first iteration, I saw both sides of the point very quickly.
Yeah.
I saw an outlier situation where very quickly a company that I back became profitable. Then I saw a situation where the company took 5 years. The first one was a fintech, the second one was an edtech. So what I learned is that edtech takes time. It's hard work. It takes time to get it done.
Yeah.
So, but I realized that to conclude that part of the question, I realized that I really enjoyed what I was doing. And I felt a sense of obligation and responsibility that I needed to be a shoulder for the next of it. So that's how I transitioned.
Fantastic.
So this is now 2010, 2011, and 2013 I started doing this full time.
Investment.
Yeah.
So you're about a decade in.
Yeah, about a decade in.
Yeah. that is sweat equity that you put into the ecosystem for sure. But there's something that you said, that you mentioned about receiving that first check. And something I noticed about that recollection is that you were invested in based on your personal brand. An investor saw you in action, saw what you were about, the mission that you were trying to achieve, and was willing to write a check without even an agreement for you. How many founders have you come across and said, I will invest in this guy no matter what he's doing?
Actually, I've done that. I'll give you the latest example. So I invested in a company in Nairobi, Kenya, called Saver. Saver was started by a guy called Aziz. His previous company is called M-Post. Have you guys heard of M-Post? It's a company that allows you to use a mobile phone to become your postal address. So he did this cool innovation in Kenya, and I wasn't invested in that company. But I saw him build that company into a successful venture. So one day I'm in Nairobi, he says, hey, I want to have coffee. I said, oh, I want to go have coffee. So we go have coffee, and he said, I'm thinking about starting a new company. This company, I built it. My co-founder is running it now. You know, he's capable of running it. And I said, yeah, you should do it now. I said, hey, by the way, here's $500. I'll send you the rest of the money you need when I get to Ghana. so that was the story. You know, and I've done a couple of them because the reality is that it's so I'm going to tell the philosophy of how we iBurst, right, in terms of capital. So we've built, we've come up with a mechanism. I don't think it's a model yet, where we say you build conviction on the founder, and building conviction is very nuanced, right? Esther built conviction on seeing me in action, you know, helping her with all that kind of stuff. And later she told me the story. Yeah. That she couldn't believe that somebody actually, you know, they thought the whole icon thing in Ghana would be a failure. Because the first time I was going to an African country, they had done one in Cape Town before. And so they were expecting to be really bad. And then it was one of the most successful events that they ever had, globally. And these events happen globally. Yeah. Anyway, so the point I'm making is that the way everybody builds conviction is different on someone. But fundamentally, conviction is about trust and relationship. Right? Somebody will see you do something, say something, act in a certain way, and it touches a nerve in their conviction configuration. Right? So the first thing I do is I try to build conviction on the founder. And then when you build, after you build conviction, the founder then paints you a future. So they tell you, oh, I'm going to build this company that will do X, Y, Z, but that thing is almost utopian because it's not tangible. It's an intangible future that the founder builds. And then you look at mine and say, man, this guy doesn't even have a computer, and he's telling me I'm going to be on his Facebook. Right? So you're sitting there going like, wait a minute, does this guy know how to build a Facebook? I mean, Facebook has more 2,000 engineers or 200,000 engineers that write that code. Yeah. But he's telling you that I can build the next Facebook. Right, so it's almost unbelievable. It's almost naivety. But that kind of naivety is what you need for you to believe that you can build it, for you to have that audacity and the confidence to tell an investor, no, I can be the next Mark Zuckerberg. Yeah. Right, so once you build that conviction, then you take what I call a leap of faith. Because there's a chasm within which you don't think this is going to work. And so, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So you can take a leap of faith that, okay, this is gonna work, right? And so when you take that leap of faith, and the next thing you do is that you then you realize that there's gonna be an execution risk that goes with going from that utopian vision to the reality that is painting you. Yeah. Right. So as an investor, so our third ethos is we then ask yourself, what is that execution risk? So fundamentally, when you invest in the founder, you're taking that execution risk. That's the main risk that you're taking. And in the investing world, you see, then you have to adjust the risk, right? Because you can't eliminate the risk. Because if there's no risk, then nothing will happen. Yeah. Right? Because it's a risk-return situation. Yeah. So high risk, high reward. High reward, right? So it's a high risk, and so now you need to build an adjustment of that risk. Yeah. Which is what most investors do with founders to make sure that you succeed. Yeah. Right? And that's so the vetting process. Exactly. Then you say you get a risk-adjusted return. So that's our bomb. Okay. I hope I kind of makes sense.
I think that's quite clear. I think it's quite clear. So following up on that, in terms of so you built a model to determine the investability of the startup or of the founder. So how much? What is the percentage on the founder versus the idea?
Yeah, correct. Good question. Very good question. So as I explained, when you take that execution risk, the first constant in that equation is the founder, because that's the person you're backing. Right? You believe that this person has sold me a future, and he or she can do it, or can bring around the right people to do it. Yeah. So then you begin to measure the ability of the founder to be able to execute. And sometimes the founder may not have all the skill sets. So the founder may be a techie, so he can write the code, but then he cannot sell it.
Yeah.
Right? So then you begin to, then the second, iteration there is you begin to ask the founder and work with the founder, risk adjustment. How do we get somebody to go sell it? Then the founder may be realizing, oh, actually I need a co-founder, somebody who can actually go sell the product. Or he may say, oh yeah, I've been doing this with my friend. My friend is a sales guy, but he works at this company. And the plan is, if I finish building the product, then he will come on as a CEO or sales guy to go sell it. Oh, then you know that you sold the second part of it. Now somebody can sell that product.
Yeah.
Or the founder, very rare. Some founders can build and sell.
Mm-hmm.
So you see that the guy is doing write the code during the night, and in the morning he puts on a nice suit and goes out and sell it. Very rare.
Yeah.
But then if you get someone like that, then you got one person that has the two key characteristics that you need to execute, to build a product and to sell the product. If he doesn't have it, then you need to work with him or her to find a co-founder. Or you may have somebody who knows how to sell a product. Right? Our first company, Uptime, the CEO, he sold people SMS without even having the product. He had customers, and then he went and found somebody's code, somebody's product, and then white labeled it. So he was very good at selling. He sold people something he didn't have already.
Yeah.
But he said, look, your business needs SMS. And money to convince people to actually give him money.
Yeah.
And then he went and found, I remember it was Clickatel.
Right.
And then white label Clickatel product and sold it to the market. Right? So, right there,
I think that's called hustling.
Yeah, it takes a lot to know why. So he's a husband, right?
Yeah.
So primarily you may have one or two of those, right? And you must be honest with yourself as a founder and say, which one is me? Am I the guy who can build a product, or am I the guy who can sell it? There's nothing wrong if you can do both, because all of us have limited abilities, right?
Yeah.
As we give it from above. So if you don't have it, don't try to convince the investor you have it. Right? Say, okay, I'm not good at selling. Can we find somebody who can sell this thing and build it? I can really build it.
Yeah.
Because see, an investor most likely has some experience of what you're doing. So don't try to, okay, you have to sell yourself. It's hype in the game. I'm not saying don't hype yourself. Right? But after the hype, you have to face the reality. And the reality is, say, okay, I can sell something, but I really like to write a code. So why don't you get somebody to sell? Then the investor, okay, this guy knows how to focus on what they're very good at.
Yeah.
Because to also succeed as a founder, this is very important. You must be so good at something, and that's what you must be known for. You can't be a jack of all trades. You will never be a master. You'll be a master of none.
Yeah.
So it's important for you to let the investor know very early, or you yourself have to convince yourself, come to that conviction and say, I'm very good at building product, but I have to sell because there's nobody who can sell. So I'm trying to sell because nobody can sell. But really what I want to do is sit in the office and then write a code. Or I'm a sales guy, I like to go out and just sell.
Yeah.
So I need to find somebody who can build this product, and this is what the product is.
Yeah.
So that iteration is extremely important.
So for investors, so you found a founder who's really compelling. He has an idea that is really compelling, but you're looking to build a solid team around him to actually get that done. Where is the decision to, okay, where's the decision made, okay, we have a great founder, great idea, but he has no team, versus we have a great team, but not,
Great product.
not a great product.
The latter wins always.
The latter wins always, because you have a great idea and a great founder.
Because you can have a great idea. The company builds a team sport, fundamentally. If you look at the most successful companies in the world, it's either a very strong sole founder or co-founders that build people around them. Bezos.
Yeah.
Yeah, you hear the name Bezos, but there's a whole army of people around Bezos. There's a whole army of people around Elon Musk that you don't hear about that really get stuff done. So it's fundamentally a team sport. Whether you see one person in front or you see many people in front. So as a founder, yes, you start by yourself. It's you, with your dream and your computer, your ideas at night, and waking up in the middle of the night and believing in yourself. But the next important thing is to think about, who can I work with that complements my skill set? Because you will not always have all the skill set to execute. Tell me a one-man company that is still existent now. So fundamentally, this is the transition that is very hard for some founders to do. Is that you need to be so convinced and build conviction about yourself and your ability to execute. But you also need to be able to build a transition from that into working with a team.
Yeah.
I realize that I need to bring people around me to believe in what I'm doing and what I want to do. And they have skill sets that I don't have. It doesn't minimize your skill set. It doesn't take away from your relevance. A lot of founders think, oh, what I mean, people don't think I'm not good. No, actually it tells me that you are good at identifying people that can complement your skills. As a matter of fact, the greatest founders in the world are people that bring skill sets that are more relevant than themselves. The greatest founders are the people that bring other people that have skills that are more than their skill set.
Yeah. And I think it was, I heard this quote from Steve Jobs to say, we don't hire people to tell them what to do. We hire people to tell us what to do. Yeah.
So you always have to think about hiring people that have specialty that you don't have, because that is going to take the company to the next level. Otherwise, why would you hire them?
True, but it also requires the founder to know what they're missing.
Exactly.
To be self-aware, to actually be able to say, I don't have the skill set to actually do it.
And there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of founders think, oh, once I show my weakness, then I'm going to lose an investor. No, actually it's the opposite.
Yeah.
Because everybody, investor knows that you have weaknesses. You can't hide it forever. And one of the things you have to realize is that, see, the relation with the investor is similarly a same relation that you have with people.
Yeah.
Nobody will invest in you if they don't have a relation with you.
True.
And relationships are built on trust. And trust is being able to say, I am strong at this, but I'm not good at that.
Yeah.
That's it, right? So you should be open to being vulnerable is the word, right? Being vulnerable, there's nothing wrong with it. All of us have vulnerabilities, right? And so even though you still have to create hype, yeah, I'm the big guy, I know how to do it, I'm the, yes, that's part of the game.
Because you're called the promoter, right?
Correct.
You have
Correct.
that skill.
You have
to have that skill to be able to be the promoter. Because as the team is building, you're the guy that
you
needs
are
to
the
go
front,
sell.
right?
Yeah, you're the
so you
front.
see, this is what happens, and he just kicked it in. So when you build the right team of people, you then can focus on what you're good at doing. If it's selling, you can be selling because they'll build the thing that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So a lot of the greatest founders, they build some stuff that they never built before, like I just told you. But you know that you built a team of people that can execute. Remember execution race? So that race still exists. Fundamentally, as a founder, it's not about ideas, it's about execution.
Yeah.
Because everybody has ideas. If I take a sense of this room, all of you have somebody can give me 10 ideas of something that nobody has done in this Uganda. But the people that succeed are those that execute.
Yeah.
So entrepreneurship is an execution sport. And the way you win is by having a team.
Before we proceed, I want you to dig a little bit deeper on that idea, so where everybody has an idea. One of the challenges we have in accelerating startups is this idea that they're afraid to share their idea because somebody else will steal. Put a point on that to where there's more ideas than there is execution.
Yeah.
Focus on your execution more than worrying about somebody else's
I
idea.
get emails from founders who say, hey, can you sign this NDA and I'll tell you what I'm thinking about? I say, all right, yeah, that's it. I'm not even going to hit delete. I'm sorry, because things that the idea you have, 10 people had how many people didn't dream tonight? How many people can say you didn't dream tonight? Everybody had a dream. So everybody had some idea.
Yeah.
Everybody woke up with something they want to do. So I guess I done it. Any idea you have, 10 people had it yesterday.
Thank you.
When we sleep, the terrestrial shares things around us. So everybody has ideas. The idea you got today, somebody had it 10 years ago.
So your subconscious cheats on you.
Yeah,
While you're sleeping.
exactly. Cheats on you all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying ideas are not important. I'm just saying that the idea you have that you think is proprietary to you, somebody had the same idea.
Yeah.
So if I sign an NDA with you, and then somebody told me the same, actually, yes, let me give you an example yesterday. So after the talk, it's a lady that managed economy and told me, oh, I have this idea, I'm doing this startup, she sold me everything. I've already invested in a company that's not the same thing in Ghana. So once she started, I just stopped in the track. I said, wait a minute, just hold on. Can you look at this website and tell me what you think? And then she spent telling me, she couldn't believe it. Well, where do you find this? I said, I'm an investor, that's one of our portfolio companies. She couldn't believe it. So I said, what?
Yeah.
I said, this company has been there for 10 years. Then she started, oh man, how do you talk about the company? I said, well, there's something called research.
Yeah.
So the point is that I'm not saying ideas are not important. It always starts with an idea.
Yeah.
But you have to realize that the context of an idea is that it's very, very fluid. Everybody has an idea. The people that succeed are those who do something about it.
Yeah.
So when you go to an investor, or you want somebody to take you seriously, it's not about the idea. The idea is important, but it's about how do you execute. So whenever you're speaking to somebody who you want to be part of what you're doing, the more you tell them about the how-to, the more conviction or convincing you are. Not the idea, because the idea is okay.
Because it shows that you've thought through the execution. How do I bring this idea to life? And this is why I'm sitting here across the table from you, because I've realized I need you to help me fuel this execution.
Through this path. And by the way, there could be 10 people solving the same problem, right? But you say, I think mine is going to be the winner because I'm doing it this way.
Yeah.
And everyone, the other guy is doing it that way. So what the lady missed yesterday was, I kind of waited for her. She got a lot of my time. I thought she would tell me, okay, I see what these guys are doing, but I'm going to do it different. And she couldn't bring herself to even tell me. I think she couldn't even believe that somebody's executed like 10 years ago. Right? So when you have an idea, the first thing that you have to, these days Google is there, even AI is there to help you. Just research. You'll find that somebody's already doing that. And then the question is, okay, what am I going to do differently? So somebody's doing it, shouldn't stop you. But then you realize that there are 3 people that have executed this idea in this way. So then you ask yourself, okay, so what are they not doing right? Or how is theirs, how am I going to be different from theirs? So you could be solving the same problem.
Yeah.
But your idea, your execution is different. And so when you then tell me, oh, there are 3 people that have solved this problem. One of them solved it this way, the other one solved it that way. But I think they lack that. And that's why I'm doing it this way.
Yeah.
You basically will get an investor.
I think that's...
But if you tell an investor, I have the best idea in the world, and somebody did this 10 years ago, then we have a real problem.
Yeah, because you can't really talk yourself out of the fact that you did research.
Exactly.
So now you have to go back to the drawing board. Speaking of talking to investors and actually getting to the pitching side of things, one of the things that we have noticed through several cohorts of pitching is founders, the level of deep knowledge a founder needs to have to convince an investor. For example, even myself, I've pitched to investors who've given me negative feedback on the financials. But I've already told them, I'm the idea guy, I'm the execution guy, I'm the creative behind this idea. You want the financials, I have a finance co-founder there. But they want you to know a certain level of the financials. What level is comfortable for you that a founder needs to know the unit of economics versus the idea?
So for me, the first thing that I want a founder to really be able to tell me off is the business model. So tell me how you build this product, what goes into making this bottle of water. If you tell me that you made this bottle of water, and I say, what went into making this? What's it? You can't tell me that it's something wrong. So I say, okay, that's my IP. Okay, but you want me to invest in your IP? You have to tell me. So if you're able to tell me that I'm able to build this bottle of water and it cost me 1,000 Ugandan shillings. This strap here was 50 Ugandan shillings. This bottle here was 500 Ugandan shillings, and I got it from the factory, and then I did this labeling. It was 200. The water itself is from a fountain up in
Reservoirs.
And that water to bring it cost about 200. So it cost me 1,000 Ugandan shillings to manufacture this bottle of water. And I think that this water is so unique that I'm going to sell it for 1,500 Ugandan shillings. So I'm putting that 500 Ugandan shilling markup on it for my labor and bringing the component together. That's what we call unit economics.
Yeah.
So, and this is something that, this is the component of what you told me you built. So if you can tell me how you, so let's take the software side. So you say, okay, I built the software. Now to write that code, I see he's writing while listening, which is pretty impressive. So you're writing a code, I'm sure you got a deadline, but you still want to listen, so that's good. So you say, okay, I built this code, it took me 1,500 hours. Okay, so you did 1,500 hours to write a code. if you have been paid, how much would that cost? Okay, 1 hour of my time is maybe 20,000 Ugandan shillings. So if you did 1,500 hours, what is that? That's the cost of building the software. Okay, and I had to buy internet, so internet cost me something. My laptop, something.
Yeah.
So that's what tells you the component of that building that software.
Yeah.
And then you say, okay, so it cost me $1 million Ugandan shillings to build the software. This software is targeted at restaurants. In Uganda, there are about 1,000 restaurants. In Uganda, okay, I'm targeting middle-class restaurants. This restaurant, they sell meals that cost maybe 35,000 or 40,000 Ugandan shillings. So they can buy a software or my software, which, okay, give me what I'm pricing it at 10,000 Ugandan shillings or 20,000 because this restaurant. So you see where I'm going there. So you're trying to not tell me how you're going to make money. So now I can say, okay, so if you have 1,000 restaurants and you're going to charge them 40,000, and it costs you how much? $1 million Ugandan shillings. So I can see how, oh, okay, these guys could make some money. Or I can immediately tell this is not going to make money because. And if you do it yourself, you realize that, oh, I'm building a software, but there's not enough market, addressable market is small. Because you will realize immediately that actually there's not so many restaurants that can buy my software in Kampala or Uganda. So immediately you tell yourself, even though this idea is great, but I'm not going to make money out of it. Right? So then you sit back and you ask yourself, so is this something I really want to do? Or how would I make money from other sources to do it? Because you may be very passionate about it, and it may be that the market is not that big yet, right? Yeah. So, okay, there's 1,000 Ugandan restaurants today, but tomorrow it may be 1 million. Yeah. But then you have to survive to get to the million. Yeah. Right? So these are the realities that you have to build for yourself. And when you do this for yourself, and an investor wants it, you can easily tell them. So these are the core of the business you're building. Yeah. So terminal numbers. So these are basic numbers that you should know. If you can't know these numbers and do these numbers, find someone who can help you do that. Yeah. But it's not only for the investor. It's not only for me. Yeah. But it's for you first. For you, yeah. For you first to be able to convince yourself that I'm building something that has a market and I will make money. Because in order to figure out the size of the problem you're trying to solve, and the size of the opportunity, you need to dig in and actually understand those numbers. And during our acceleration process, that's one of the things that we have to take them through. You need to understand your projections. And those projections are not just like, I'm going to sell 1 billion, in 5 years. Yeah, but how? Right. But how? Right. Answering the how requires you to know that you need. Yeah, and it requires you to go out there. Yeah. You may have to go and find restaurants, walk the street, go to each restaurant, ask them what's your menu, take the menu, look at the price per menu, per item. Yeah. Dig down, okay, the average restaurant here, they sell food for a range of 40,000 Ugandan shillings. Yeah. You have to do that. That's the work. That's the hard work. That's execution. That's the building of the idea. Yeah. Right? That's the building of the fundamentals of the idea. So you hit the nail on the head. So for me, as an investor, beyond you being a very convincing founder, I want to see whether you understand the fundamentals of the business you're building. And if the fundamentals are not right, you can raise all the money, you'll fail. You've heard of a lot of startups that raise $120 million. How can you raise $120 million and fail? It's possible. Yeah. Because your foundation was not strong, your fundamentals were not working. And you thought you could fool investors. Oh yeah, I saw this story. I got $1 million tomorrow. And 10 years from now, and keep selling and they keep giving you money. And then one day, poof, they didn't even write a check, you're down. Yeah. Right? So the reality is that, and there are guys who go into this just raise money and have a nice lifestyle. That's a different story. That's not what we're talking about. Right? If that's what you're trying to do, okay. The briefcase companies of Uganda. Exactly. Yeah. But if you really want to build a company, these are the things that must consume your time. These are the things that you must spend a lot on because eventually they define what the business is. And that's the foundation. If you don't build a strong foundation, trust me, you can build the tallest skyscraper, it will come down eventually. We've seen that companies collapse. Other companies that collapse, there are companies that approach me and say, I'm not interested. And I spoke to the founder, just one conversation, the guy can't even tell me how the component of his product. He said, I'll figure that out later on. Okay, so when you figure it out, then you come and we talk. Of course, it's fine. By the way, there are certain businesses that you can't figure it out immediately. Yeah. And I have no problem with that. But I'm not the kind of investor for that. The other investors are like that, those kinds of businesses. Right? oh, you figure it out later that we all become billionaires one day when you go public, right?
Yeah,
So investors like that, I'm not that investor. I want to understand the basics for day one.
Yeah. So we've talked about actually in our list of topics in terms of investability, we've talked about team, we've talked about idea, we've talked about unit economics, risk management, especially which you talked about. What I want to focus on now is maybe we dig a little bit deeper into financial health and projections. In terms of seeing, we talked about the fundamentals of how you get there.
Yes.
Now let's build on top. Now let's build on top of that realistically.
Correct.
Right? Because you're raising funds specifically to get to that. Because you without the raising of funds, you're not going to get there.
Correct.
So connect the dots for me from the unit economics and the fundamentals to actually doing your projections, convincing.
Correct.
Yeah.
So for me, once we've leveled up on the fundamentals, and for me, the leveling up on the fundamentals is that you want to be able to convince me that you can build a product for $1 and sell it for $1.20. Okay, you may not be able to do that immediately, but I want you to be able to give me a line of sight and say, okay, because I have to import this product, we are not, actually one of our companies is doing that now. They're importing some of the components of the hardware because they're not manufacturing themselves. So unfortunately, they are producing, the unit cost is a little bit higher, but he's working every day to bring it down. So I'm working with this founder, and yesterday we had a long conversation. We moved from the cost of component going from $350 to now we are somewhere around $215. And I was going to bring it down slowly to, because at $215, we sell it to the market cannot afford it. So now we still have to bring it down again. And hopefully as the market matures, we can bring the unit price up. But that's a founder that is deeply interested in that. And that's the conversation that we're having every day. So I'm not saying you should have the bulletproof answer, but I want to be convinced that this is something that you fundamentally understand and are spending most of your time.
Yeah.
And then once you have that, then now it's okay. So there's 1,000 restaurants in Uganda now. Now, if you project the last 5 years, the restaurant industry has grown in Uganda by 50%, or let's say 32%. So it means that if you project forward, we use the same projection, I mean that 5 years from now, there could be 1 million Ugandan restaurants, for example, hypothetical. So immediately it tells me that, okay, today your target market is 1,000. But in 5 years, we get to 1 million. So now we can build a projected financials and say that, okay, there's 1 million restaurants. Okay, you start getting 10% of them. Okay, we'll grow to 15% the first year. Second year, we'll grow to 25% or 20. The third year, we'll go to 22%. The fourth year, 25. Okay, 50. And eventually, by the fifth year, we will catch up 50% of the market. Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
I can see how that's possible. But you tell me, oh, there are 1,000 restaurants in Uganda today. I think there'll be 1 billion next 5 years. How do you get to that? Then I look at the historical. There's no city with 1 billion restaurants, right? So as you say that, then the investor look at it, man.
You don't know what you're talking about.
Exactly. Right? Yeah. So come up with realistic numbers. Yes, you want to sell the future, but it has to be realistic.
It has to be concretized in something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, how many people in Uganda there will be 1 billion restaurants in Uganda? Even in Uganda, the population won't get to 1 billion, right? So when you say that, then you just throw the whole thing out of whack.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, you want to project a great future, but think numbers that are realistic. That people say, okay, this guy is serious. Just trying to inspire the sky. Of course, if you in this game also, one very important thing, it's better to under-promise and over-deliver than to over-promise and under-deliver, which is what is happening to a lot of these companies. These companies that raise all this 120 million, they over-promise. They told investors, oh, Nairobi will be 1 billion people in 2 years, so give me, my company is worth 2 billion, so give me 200 million for 20%. Yeah, that's what they sold these investors. Of course, a lot of these investors, if you look at the profile of those investors, they were all US investors who don't know that Nairobi will not get to 1 billion people. But they think that because Africa is growing fast, they saw the population and oh yeah, they'll get to 1 billion people in Nairobi.
And they're also investing on the FOMO, by the way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Of the fear of missing out. So they sell them that feeling like, if I don't invest in this guy, it becomes the next big. So they invested.
Yeah.
Now, the time to get those numbers came and they couldn't achieve those numbers. You know, some of these companies, they say 10 years, 5 years will become a $1 billion company.
Yeah.
And 5 years, they're not even breaking it. You get it? So you can sell those futures, but the reality will catch up with you. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
And some of them, the day of reckoning has come. I mean, how can they say they come in 2015 and 2024, you're already there?
You're already
I mean, we were here, they've come and gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're
That's
still
very
here.
fast.
Yeah.
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 So build some future, build some protections, but be realistic.
So on that building part, I think what the teams we've been working with, we've been telling them to build projections between 3 and 5 years.
Right.
What is the sweet spot? Is that the sweet spot?
Yeah, 3 to 5 years is the sweet spot. It's a good spot.
Yeah.
Try. So I thought some of my founders, they have this model that they do. So they have projections for themselves. Their projection is almost always. This one is going on. Their projection is almost always twice what they tell me. So they gave me the conservative number.
That is the under promise.
Under promise.
Yeah.
But in their target, they have the big high. So they want to under promise me and over deliver. That's a better model than to over promise and under deliver. Because you see, what you don't realize is that when you over promise, by all means, we all want to go to Mars one day.
Right.
But you have to realize that the process of going to Mars has something to do with trust. And so when you overpromise and you don't deliver, you lose trust. And once you lose trust,
You lose traction.
your track record, your traction is gone. You know, everybody like, you know, a lot of these founders who are, you know, some of them are starting a new company and nobody's even going to talk to them. You know what I'm talking about. You know that. Some of them are, I'm not going to even talk to them. So you've lost trust and you've lost that value that you built in the ecosystem. And Entrepreneurial, this game is a lot about reputation.
Yeah.
You can take many years to build a good reputation. You make one error, and that reputation is gone, and it takes a long time to repair. The reality will come to you guys. And the investor, that guy lost me people money. Even one of them wrote an email and said, we lost your money, and so what? We'll see.
So building on that, because just because you invest doesn't mean it's always going to work out.
Exactly.
Right? And building on the idea of reputation, try that founder may. Conditions just didn't allow for success.
Right.
So at what point is it the founder's fault or the market conditions' fault not to allow, so that founder can then try again in another idea, right?
So that is a very, very important question, and that question goes to the core of how your founder behavior and relationship is with your investors, your colleagues in the business. Well, first of all, your colleagues in the business, your team, your stakeholders, your customers, and then the investor. So one of the guys who lost money, we later found out that even some of the employees, they raised so much money, they weren't even paying the employees properly. And a lot of them became buying houses and cars and all that stuff. Right? Some of them, some of the investors are going to go after them. I don't go after founders. My view is, when I invest in a company, I assume I've lost the money. So I only invest money I can lose. The one principle, when you become an investor one day, don't invest your kids' school fees because you're going to have problems. Your kids' school fees are their school fees. I don't invest my kids' school.
Get some money to play with that.
Exactly. I only invest money. Only invest money you can lose, because in early stage investing, and in any form of investing, it's a high risk, high return.
Yeah.
There's a 90% probability that you lose the money. So I only invest money that when it disappears, I'm not going to have a big fight about it.
Yeah.
One of my founders that we invested in, shut down the business, he did his best. Markets, he was too early for the market. So, the company unfortunately failed.
Yeah.
We still stayed friends. He couldn't be talking. I said, I know I lost the money already. Fast forward, he started a new company, and he came to me and said, look, I was so feeling dread that I lost your money, but you just took it so cool. You made me feel I didn't have to get post. I was already going through the trauma of losing the business, but you helped me heal. And so I really want you to become part of my next company, and I don't want you to put money in it. I just want to give you some advisory shares. I just want you to be my friend. Because you made me feel, you gave me the best experience in my most difficult moment. Right? And it goes to that relationship, because I knew that he didn't take my money and then buy a house. I knew that he put the money in the business. And I know he did his best. It just didn't work. Every investor knows that. But when you take the money and then now suddenly you have a house here, you know, you told the investor, oh, we're going to hire 20 employees, and then you hire only 5. And then you make up phony payrolls and all that stuff. Every investor sees, some investor will just not tell you, they see it. Because don't forget, investors see many companies, you know. So, and you're one of many companies that I invested in, right? And don't forget, in my calculation, I just need one company to succeed. You know, our first fund, one company has helped us to pay the principals of the entire fund. We're in the 8th year, and we have 11 companies still in that portfolio. And those payments are just from dividends, by the way. So that company is still going. It's profitable, just paying a dividend. We'll feed out the principals, right? So you have to understand that you are not fooling the investor. If you think investor, oh, I'll take investor money and then do my own thing. Oh yeah, you're just digging your own grave. And you're gonna lie.
And it goes a long way, because the reputation is extremely important, because it's corrosive in the ecosystem. Because they may think that they are fooling you, but really they're trying to fool the entire ecosystem, because you guys talk.
Oh yeah, and it has implications on the larger ecosystem. Right. Because don't forget, investors, very few of us. You know, any investor who's investing in you, he always talk to the guy who invested in you before, the guy who knows you. You know, I would tell some guys talking, I just send him a WhatsApp, what do you think about this guy? I just want to send him a WhatsApp. The guy pitches me here, send me a bag of deck, blah, blah, blah. All I just for is, hey, so tell what do you think about this guy? This one is not serious. Even if he doesn't respond, that's enough response. Once he doesn't respond to that message, I understand the message he's told me. He's told me something. I said it's not that he didn't even respond.
Because if I was excited, I would immediately say, you write that check right now.
The fact I didn't respond, I know. I've got the message. I've got the message I want. That's all I need. So I know a message can fire that's sent to Badru. I just forward your thing to them. And then wait. If they didn't respond after 2 days, I just delete it. I don't hear much. Right? Because I know that I just fly in. But the people here know everything. So every investor does that. Some investor will, okay, we'll give you the benefit of the doubt, but that is your chance. You have to understand that. And this is probably the most important part of this conversation, is that you are all pioneers. You are going to be the next successful businesses in Uganda. You are going to build companies that will become the next MTN. By the way, there was a time that MTN was an idea. There was an MTN founder that started a group like this. The founder of Putoma told me, he said, Eric, there was a time that MTN was an idea. You know the company MTN? Yeah, he had like a laptop like you're sitting there. He told me, he said, there was a time that MTN was a PowerPoint presentation. So you have to understand that you have a big responsibility. You could build the next MTN. And that means that you have to take this track very seriously. You have to understand what it means for the country, means for your family, means for the ecosystem. And so when you are doing this, you have to do it with that sense of gravitas. That if you succeed, you become the basis for the next guy. And if you fail, it has implications not just for yourself. You talk about your reputation at that point, but it means the same for Hive. If you came through here and you screwed an investor, or you did something very bad, I'm not saying you shouldn't fail, but you can fail.
It's how you fail. Right? It's how you fail.
So, but if you're not playing dodgy games, you think you're smarter than Terry. Terry's run business. He sees all your shit, but he's just like, oh yeah, whatever. And then you just go and then you hit your head to the wall, and then you know, you just miss an opportunity, right? So really, you got to do this with all honesty, hard work, dedication, give your best shot. If it doesn't work, everybody knows that you did your best and it didn't work. And nobody's going to send you to jail for that. But if you're playing dodgy games, well...
it's going to catch up to you.
And unfortunately, it has real reputation for the whole ecosystem.
It does.
Because when you do that, it means that the next entrepreneur will not have that inspiration. I'll tell you one story. So one day I'm going to Lusaka with one of our founders. We were going to set up an operation there. And so the Bongo Hive.
Bongo Hive.
So now when I go, I like to do this stuff. Because for me, if I really am serious. If you don't have this, I don't have investors, entrepreneurs investing. This is how I find entrepreneurs. And so we did a talk like this. And then after we finished, this guy was sitting over there. So he waited for everybody to go, and then he came to me and said, Eric, man, you really inspire me. said, what's your name? He said, my name is Chisepo. He said, well, okay. He said, you don't know, but I have every video of you. I read all your messages. You inspired me to be an entrepreneur when I was in school. I dropped out of school because I read your story and you made me feel like I can do it. And then he started his first company called Zippos. I wasn't an investor. I never met this guy. But he says he's listened to all my talk, he watched all my videos, and he learns from me every day. He showed me videos of myself that I didn't even know existed. You know, and then he said, but I'm starting this, I want to start this new company. I want you to be part of it. I just want you to be my mentor. I can see he is for it. It's okay, all right. So I look at his stuff. I knew his company, the Zippos company. Somebody had actually told me about the company, come and go to some tough time. But he was like, he had the wrong investor. So he was like, oh, I had this investor, but now I learned the lesson. I was like, okay, it's not just an investor, you have to know. Anyway, he had a company called Bosu. I didn't heard of them. But he gave a pitch at an event in Cape Town last year. I invested in a company. But it's somebody who, he said, he got inspired by just watching my videos. So the thing that you do could be inspiring someone without you knowing. And that's why you must take your craft very seriously, because for me, that day I felt very fulfilled that even if I did nothing in Zambia, I inspired one entrepreneur there. And now he started a company, he's doing his second company, and he will inspire them. So I told him, also make sure you inspire the next guy. So that's what I told him. I said, don't forget to pass it on.
Always pass it on.
Yeah.
So with that, I want to pass on the microphone to the audience, specifically for if you have any questions, this is your opportunity. Don't be shy. This is a learning environment. We want to make sure that your concerns, the reasons that you're here are addressed. So if you have any questions on determining whether your idea is investable or just investment ready, this is the time. So
ask me anything.
Yes, we'll start here. Introduce yourself. Please, no sermons, just questions.
Thank you. Nelson Mandela is my name. I'm founder and CEO of a food and beverage company called Stanford Commodities Exchange. We call the processing trade. So my question is, I just wanted to ask, what's the difference between investing in a startup and the one which is investable?
Okay, good question. I gotta answer it in a direct way, but probably I was zoning a little bit. So you are an investable startup, in my view, if you have a business that can make me a return. Right. Now, for you to be investment ready, it's a process. And that process is what I kind of described to you. Right. Now, the question is, so what do you actually look for that makes you then decide, I want to invest in this company or that company? And that goes to now understanding the investor side of the equation. So I've talked to you a lot about the entrepreneurial side. The investor side of the equation, every investor has a thesis. Every investor is like a founder, by the way. So you have a certain thesis that you're trying to prove. So our first thesis was the King's Fund. So our first fund, our fund is called the King's Fund. And people said, Eric, there are 54 countries, why did you invest in only 5? Why did you choose the 5? Because I first had to zero in on 5 countries that I knew very well, that I thought I could succeed in investing in. So it's not like I don't like Uganda, I love Uganda. But I can invest in all 50 countries, 4 countries at the same time. That's a recipe for failure right there. The first principle of success is you have to think big but start small. So I asked myself, which are the 5 small countries that I can start in? That's actually the Kings. So I have a thesis. Now I've invested in Uganda, I've invested in Tanzania, I've invested in Zambia. I've gone outside the Kings. But to start, I had to start small. Though I had a big vision, I want to invest in the whole of Africa. That's my vision. But I had to start small, right? So you have to ask yourself, is this investor the kind of person that invests in the country? Am I the country they invest in? Then you go to sectors. So we call the countries dimensions. Right, in our theory, we have what we call dimensions as a country. And we have what we call the determinants, which are the sectors. And we have this on our website. So, again, you go to the website, you do some research, you'll find so for us to match, it's called pattern recognition, right? So I have a certain pattern, you have your pattern. So, Sana, when you do the pattern matching, we may not be aligned. It's fine. They're not worried that investor. Don't try it. The investor doesn't invest in tech. Agriculture. You're forcing you, please invest in me. Yes, the person won't invest in it. You know why? So because the investor doesn't like you. It's just that he has a certain, he can't invest in everything. So he has certain things that he invests in. But if you become friends with him and say, oh, can you introduce me to this other investor who invests in agriculture? Think, right? So sometimes it's not that you need an investor to give you money, but that person could be a stepping stone to someone, right? So we have sectors that we invest in, so look for those sectors. So if you're in that sector in those countries, then there could be another, right? Then when we start talking, it could be easier. But if you're outside that, unfortunately that's the case. But then you can say, hey, maybe I should still get to know Eric. Maybe you can introduce you to someone who invests in Uganda or someone who invests in Nigeria. And through that, I can maybe build a relationship with that person. Very important. It all starts with relation building. Let me ask you a question. If somebody walked to you on the street and asked you for money, what's the probability that you give them the money? But if your friend from high school one day comes to you or runs you in the street and says, Charlie, life is hard, man. Can you buy me lunch? You will probably buy dinner and buy breakfast, right? Yeah. Why? Because you know the person. It's a relationship. You know, you ask, why the Americans invest in Americans? Because they know each other. They're from America. It's a relationship. It's as simple as that. So you can make all the noise you want. Harvard people invest in Harvard people because they know they
know the pedigree they're working
exactly.
with. Yeah.
Even if somebody comes from Harvard, it's an elite sort of situation there. But the point of the contest is that if somebody goes through that schooling system, there's a certain credential that comes with it. You know that this person is trustworthy, I can give him my money. So what you have to do as a founder is look for those networks that will serve your purpose. So I tell a lot of founders, you raise money when you don't need it. You don't need the money. You say, why should I raise money when I don't? Because you have to build a relationship that will lead to the money. And the best time to build that relationship is when you are not in need of the money. The problem is a lot of founders wait till their business dies tomorrow, then they call Eric, my business died tomorrow, please give me money today. It's not going to work. I can't give you, I mean, you can appeal to my emotions. But there's no way I'm going to make decisions on emotion. Because if your business died tomorrow, I might as well die today. Because, today and tomorrow, that ain't making a difference. So a lot of founders, when I did it, the guy gave me, he was almost kneel on the floor, begging me, please write me a check, my company will die tomorrow. That, there's no investor will give you money, because the reality that the company is already dead. Right? So that goes to with desperation, and of course, you need emotional and passionate about what you do, but not be desperate. Begging an investor is not a point. The point is, first of all, understand that, okay, if your company is that, maybe this company needs to die and I'll start a new company. That's also fine. Because company failing is also part of the process. You have to learn. The question is, when your company fails, you need to sit down and ask yourself, so why did this company fail? What's the lessons that I'm going to learn out of it? Yeah. May fail for market reasons. I've backed companies that were way ahead of the market. And companies fail for that. But then you ask yourself, okay, so timing. Okay, so my next venture, I need to time the market properly. So you've learned the lesson. So failing is also part of this game, right? I gave an interview out there. I told you the African people say, these companies are failing, so African startup ecosystem is dead. And I was like, come on, are you joking, man? This thing is still alive. This company dying is just to separate the weak from the strong. I mean, there are companies that are still going into Uganda. But, I mean, I've met companies on this trip that I didn't know, some that you don't even know about that. I'm talking about a guy who's building stuff in the coffee supply chain. And he's making a lot of money. You don't even know he exists. He's right here. So there are a lot of business people are doing stuff. And once you focus on the main elements of this exercise, people are building companies here, you don't even hear of them.
So I think to answer his question directly, so the investment ready is the minute points that we've been discussing. How to get your unit economics right, how to get your reputation right as a founder, how to build your team for that idea, how to get your projections right so that you can convincingly sell the idea. Investable is, do you have the market? Is there a projection that this investor can look at and say, the market is there, I want to invest in you because I can see where the money is going to be, right? And I can see my money coming back because the market
is there. That's why the unit economics are important. You start with those ones because you can't build a vision if you don't know the unit economics, right?
So build that big future, but you gotta be able to work it back.
Yes.
To the basics.
Yes.
Guys, it's important, man.
Yeah. So the business plan, for those of you that are going to be in stage 3, we're going to press on you in terms of making sure that you know the unit economics, your projections are sound based on actual numbers, real numbers that an investor can actually attach to and work their way backwards. Not that, yeah, we're gonna be, $10 billion worth tomorrow, just write us a check for 50,000. Right?
Yeah.
Immediately,
Yeah.
right? You're not investable. Immediately, you're not investable.
My checkbook is disappeared.
I left it at the hotel, right?
I left it at the hotel.
All right, you were next.
Yeah, I have a question. I've normally asked it several times, but I've not found an answer. I'm called Frederick, co-founder and CEO of Doxon. Doxon is decentralized digital dollar for Africa.
Centralized what?
Decentralized digital dollar for Africa.
Decentralized digital dollar for Africa. Okay.
Yeah. Now, how could a Ugandan company position itself to raise, to make a large round? I'll give you an example. I've seen, Nigerian startups raising huge amounts. I would give an example is Move. It raised for a Series B. It raised, I think, 100 million. Yeah, to make a total of, I think, 460. And I have seen the same in Kenya. Startups raising about, I think, 120, 200. Can't we have the same here? And if we are to have the same, how can we achieve that?
Okay, that's a good question. So first is, you have to understand that those companies, Move, started by raising $50,000. Do you know that? Have you looked at their history? So again, go back and research. Before they got to raising 100 million, they started by raising 50,000 from investors. And so, if you are at the 50,000 stage, what you have to do is, how did they raise 50,000? What did they do? And who did they raise it from? So go do that research. It took them a process. The 100 million they raised, what series is it? Do you remember the stage of it?
Series B.
Series B. So it means they raised angel, pre-seed, seed, Series A, Series B. 5 rounds.
To make a total of 460.
Correct.
Yeah.
But you see, they went to different stages. Actually, I know that company because one of my friends, I'm not an investor, my friend, I know when they raised 50,000. The first raise was 50,000. And then, do you know when they started? What year did they start?
In 2021. It was in 2021.
Are you sure it's 2021?
That is what I read in the news.
Okay, all right. So I think I read that. So you have to start from somewhere, is the point I'm making. Right? So if Nigerian companies are raising 100 million, you can't wake up and raise 100 million. You have to start from somewhere. That's the very first point. And it also goes to the point I made also about building a company. Yes, we want to build a digital dollar for Africa, decentralized, it's going to be $1 billion. I don't doubt you. But I want you to show me how you're going to start from point A. Because no company in the world, none of them, decided to become $1 billion company from day one, and they became $1 billion company. Can you show me one company that is $1 billion and day one they were $1 billion company? None. So it's great to have that big vision. I want to build a digital dollar for Africa. Yes, Africa needs a digital dollar that is decentralized. But show me how you're going to start the first step in Kampala. Because you're in Kampala and you are, what's the name of this area? Wakiso. So you always have to start from Wakiso, because if you can't make people in Wakiso use your digital dollar, even we in Bukoto, we will use it. Much more than people in Bogoloti. You have to convince the people who are against. Even you have to convince the people in this room here. First, why do we need a digital dollar? I have real dollars in my pocket. Why do I need a digital dollar? I have dollar cash that I'm carrying. You are giving me digital, I can't even touch it. Why should I use it? You tell me, please give me the mic.
Yeah.
Why should I use your digital dollar?
Please, convincing.
Yeah, convenience. Convenience.
Yeah, but my dollar here is convenient.
Then two, I would say accessibility when it comes to the.
But when is accessible?
Now,
It's here.
yeah, you move across, so it's easy for you.
Yeah, but I carry it wherever I go.
But
I mean, I brought dollars from Nairobi here, I'm taking the rest tomorrow.
Yeah, I will give you an example. I went to exchange money just to get a single dollar. I had to pay transaction cost on an exchange.
Yeah, but I just told you that me, I have my dollar. I changed yesterday. I changed to Ugandan shillings. I still have dollars in my room. I'm carrying them, I'm changing.
Yeah,
So
then
I
I would give you an example when it comes to cross-border transactions. Usually, if you are going to make one, it usually takes what? It takes time. Yeah. So stablecoins tend to simplify, to simplify, the transactions.
Okay, so give me a practical example of how a stable coin can simplify my transaction. Give me a practical example. We're here.
For example, if we are here, me and you.
Yeah,
Okay.
We are all here. So
Now, the safest example I would say it's though it's mostly what let me say in the crypto industry. If let us say you wanted you had
Can you put the mic to your? No, I'm not making jokes. I'm serious.
Yeah.
Because I want to hear. You said nobody has listened, so I want to listen to you. Convince me.
Yeah.
I may invest in you. You never know.
Yeah, I would give an example. Yeah, I've held cryptocurrencies, and some of the times I want to cash out and then change back to my Ugandan shillings. So most of the times, yeah, if you say you have Bitcoin, you cash to USDT and then to mobile money. Yeah. Then concerning, let us say the fintechs, now the trend is, the trend is changing. Usually the front end is this local money, but underneath it's stable coins. Yeah.
But you haven't given me an example now. I tell you,
I was giving you use cases.
Use
cases.
I haven't gotten any use case. Has anybody gotten any use case for what?
Use cases. I said cross-border transactions.
Okay, so give me a practical example of a cross-border transaction and how your platform will make it convenient for me.
Yeah, I would. Okay, if let us say you're in Kenya, yeah, I'm in Uganda. I want to send you money in real time. Yeah, you would use, let us say, the Doxa. Yeah, transfer your money from mobile money to the Doxa and then send it to your wallet address, to that person's wallet address in Kenya, and he gets the money.
Yeah. But you know I can do that with mobile money.
That's a simple use case.
Yeah, but I can do that with mobile money.
Yeah,
I don't need your wallet. I have even my
you-
same number here. I can send money.
I've not sent money using mobile money to any person. I would say I
You
have
have
a
not,
team.
but I have.
Now I have a team in India, but when I'm paying them, still I don't use mobile money.
Okay, so now you're giving a different case to India.
Yeah.
You see, practicality. You see, so the use case you have here is to India, right?
Yeah.
So how do you pay them?
So I send them money still in the same way. Yeah, using
Because mobile money doesn't go to India.
Yeah, doesn't.
You see the example. So you have a loose product, but again, the way you present it. Right? You can even tell me I send money to Kenya, I can use Momo. Maybe here I can send now. But you say, okay, if you're a business in Uganda, you want to buy product from China or from here, because mobile money doesn't go there, I can use stable coin to do it. So that's the problem you are solving, which is a legitimate problem. So that's the use case you have to give.
Okay. I think I've understood.
So you see what I'm saying here? Do you see the practical example? So you have a product, something like product, but you have to narrow it down to specifics and details. Spend that to, these are the things that makes a difference. Look at how long it took for me to, I was patient with you because you said nobody listens to you. So but look at how long it's taking. Look at how much work I have to do to convince you to tell me what you are actually building. So do you think I invest in you? And he's already told me what he was doing already. He's telling me everything already. So you see the difference? Yeah. Okay, I hope it's helpful to you. At least I hope today will help you a little bit. Yeah. Okay. All right, great. That's the next question.
Mine is going to be 2 in 1.
Okay.
My name is David, and I really appreciate the conversation that has ensued here with you, Eric. Firstly, this issue of under-promise and then over-deliver. Because recently I was watching a video with Sam Altman, and he confidently stood up and people asked him, investors asked him, how do you intend to make money? And he confidently told them, when the AI is fully built, it will tell us how we will make money. And that was his answer to the revenue question. Here in Africa, you're not really given the opportunity to just say, let us push and we see how far it goes. So you find yourself putting in your pitch deck a total addressable market of, let's say, $900 million US, very well knowing that the GDP of Africa as a whole is about 3 trillion. So that means you're considering yourself most probably a third of, being able to capture a third of the GDP of Africa, which is a bit difficult, right? So how do you really, on ground, address that as a founder? Because you're pushed by the people around you when they see 900 billion, when they see $1 million US, this may not be worth it. How do you handle that? The second one.
Hold on, that's a very loaded question. So can you hold, let me answer that first so that I don't forget. So there are 2 very important things in your question that is important context for you to have. Sam Altman is pitching to investors in Silicon Valley, in America. America is a population of 300 million people. People have built businesses in America that didn't have revenue, like Facebook, and then one day they went public and everybody became a billionaire. It's a very different context to Uganda and to Africa. So please separate the 2. I am not a Silicon Valley investor. I'm an investor in Africa. And so I'll invest based on African context. So if you take the context out, okay, you can say I'm not an investor, but that's your opinion. But my context is that I'm investing in African founders, and I need founders who are solving real African problems that will make money today. In Silicon Valley, they have enough companies that make money. You know, Sam Altman has many companies that make me money today. Elon Musk has companies that make him money every day, and that's why he can be going to space and doesn't need money now. So that context is the second important context. Anybody who's building businesses that's not making the money now, either they made money before in their previous company, so they have a lot of money already. So they can afford the luxury of spending that money they made in order to build the next company. Elon Musk did that. The reason why Elon Musk was able to do it is because he built PayPal and made 200 or 300 million from that. That's the money he used to build Tesla. So that second context is very, very important. The third context which is important is that when you are starting a business, one of the things that is so important for you as a founder, and the reality check you have to give yourself is, can you afford yourself, ask yourself, to build a company? If no investor gave you money, how would you build that company? Ask yourself, do you have money, your own money, to put in that business for the 10 years? Or would you put your own money?
Yes, and I have.
You have? Then put your own money. Why do you need my money? Now you're shaking your head. You see, you have to see investors. We are human beings. I'm just like you. I was a founder before. So don't investors have some plenty money, because I raise money, I invest my own money and other people's money. I have to return the money to them. And it's a 10-year cycle. So I can't take that money and give it to you. You have to understand it's all accountability. Everybody is accountability at every level. First, you have to start accountability with yourself. Ask yourself the things that you ask an investor. Ask yourself, if I was me, would I do that? When somebody gives you investment money and you are spending it buying cars, I said, if it was my money, would I be happy if an investor was spending my money like that? People, this thing is real. It has to be realistic. In Silicon Valley, there is a realistic fundamental that is there, and then on top of it is then you have all this hype and all these things. Please, go a little bit down. The fluff is here. Please, this thing is about substance. So focus on the substance. When you remove all the fluff, you go down a little bit, you see it's about substance. So I hope I've helped you a little bit. So let's get your second question.
Yes, yes. Thanks so much for that. Now, my second submission is around the companies that you invest in. Are you sector diagnostic or not? And to add to that, for us as a company, the one that I found, we are now getting into the Kenyan market. We're finalizing opening up our official company there, which is linked, of course, to the one in Uganda. But the question that I have around that is, how does someone get to speak to you in terms of advisory or even board processes in their company? It may not be immediate, but the goal is at what point can that be made to happen, because you have a vast experience across Africa and also, of course, in Western Africa. So a company like ours would want to tap into the knowledge or the understanding of what you have amassed over the times that you've been there, over the things that you've done, the investments that you've made. How do we get to you to have that kind of discussion?
Okay,
moving forward.
So that's a good question. So I'll give you a practical example. So I invested in David Gonhasa, who is founder and CEO of Tripesa. Anybody know Tripesa? So I'd come here like this, and he's going to take me out tonight. We're going to hang out. So David comes to a place that we're hanging out, we're drinking, hanging out. And then, somebody said, oh, this David's one of the founders, the ecosystem. So I started talking to him, we're drinking, and he tells me about Ron Bob, his previous company, how he built it. He told me about himself. Over the period of the night, he told me things that I was like, this guy is for real. And then, before we parted, he said, look, Eric, man, I just wanted to be my mentor. I think you got some stuff that I need. He didn't ask me for money. So the funny, I said, okay, let's have breakfast. I'm a little drunk today, but let's have breakfast tomorrow. So the funny, we had breakfast and then we talked. And I looked him up, because I asked people, I know people around. So, he sent me some stuff. He was like, this David guy, what do you think? I was like, oh yeah, he's a hardworking guy. He built a really great company. I did my background checks and all that stuff. So I started by being a mentor of his. And then we kept going. And the cool thing about him was that he actually had this idea about how to put tourism merchants. And I could see he was passionate about it. David had not even built one code, but he already had merchants that he was providing the service to. He himself had actually created a mockup. He actually created a platform. So, his previous business, he was working with merchants to develop experience. So he himself had gone to these merchants already and then started building. Most of them wanted payments. So you go to a payment provider and then create an account for them. He already had about 270 or 200 of those merchants already. He hadn't even built the tech. Right? But he was able to share. These guys are paying him $10, $5, $20. He was already he's proving the business model. Right? And he said, I have these guys that I want to bring in. I want them to be the developers, but I have to pay them. I said, okay, how much will it cost you to pay the developers? They said, okay, I'll fund that. That's how we started. And then the rest is history. Right? So, and then the other thing I did, which is similar to what you're doing here. When David then launched Tripesa, he then realized that Kenya will be a much more commercially viable market. So he said, okay, I'm going to develop a product in Uganda, but the commercial center office will be in Kenya. So he said, Eric, I know you're in Kenya. Can you help me open an office in Kenya? So I made up 1 or 2 phone calls. The next thing, I have a commercial office in Kenya. I hired a team. And that team now started selling the product in Kenya. Now Kenya is making, I think now Uganda still makes a little bit more money than Kenya. But the kind of customers he's got in Kenya, when they start paying, it will be like more than Uganda. And you see, that is a classical case of understanding. He said the Uganda market will get there, but we need to have Kenya to be making money very quickly. Because of the so he has a B2G model, and he says Kenya will get it first. He has 5 counties that they already built a marketplace for. Right? So you also have to understand the dynamics. So sometimes you may start something here in Uganda, and the Uganda market may not be ready. So you say, okay, maybe I should go to Kenya, or let me go to Rwanda, because Rwanda, this product could work there, where I could get commercial viability, and then work it back to Uganda. Nothing wrong with that. All I'm saying is that you have to be very practical and pragmatic about your reality. So I think you're taking the same path. I don't know why you decided to choose Kenya, but you realize that probably this product will work whether in Kenya or the Kenyan market is much more ready for your product. Sometimes it's just the reality of life. So it makes sense to go there.
Very good. And I think on the silicon idea, and
addition to add on, it's a poor comparison because in Silicon Valley, money is chasing ideas, and in Africa, ideas are chasing money.
Very
So it's important to.
And you know why?
to
Because
realize.
there's so many people that make money in Silicon Valley. That in Silicon, you can't just go to a cafe, and the guy sitting next to you has built 3 companies and he's a billionaire. He's wearing shorts sitting there. And he's just bored. He wants a new idea. So you tell him, oh, I'm doing this thing. Like, oh, how much you need? I'll write you a check. You know why? Because so many people have succeeded, and there's a culture. This is a point I was making to you. That somebody asked about how can Uganda get there. It starts with you. You are pioneers. You have to succeed and be the guy that write a check for the next guy. But unfortunately, because there's not many of us, you have to struggle to find people to write you a check. That's just the reality. I'm not trying to make an excuse for me or for Ted or for investing. It's just the reality that there's not many of us that have succeeded. So we're all pioneers, right? And that's why if you raise a little money or something doesn't give you money, you have to succeed. Because you succeeding is intergenerational, it has major implications. Because if you don't succeed, then who's going to back the next guy?
But even in failure, fail successfully.
Correct. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Thank you. My name is Jocelyn. I'm co-founder, Gold Coatings, a paint manufacturing business. On my few encounters with the investors, I've always had this question asked to me. I try to communicate my value, but they always ask me, how come this big company has not thought about that? I don't know what to say. I don't know why they have not thought about it.
They have not talked about.
They always ask me if I communicate my uniqueness or how different do I do my things. They always ask me, how come this big company has not done that?
Okay, maybe I'm missing a lot. Tell me your company, what you do.
Gold Coatings.
Yes.
We are paint manufacturers.
You manufacture paints.
Yes.
Okay.
Paint products.
Right.
So every time I meet with the investors, they
they say, why come other big company, paint company, hasn't thought about what you're doing?
Yes.
That's a weird question.
Wondering why.
Then you tell them, that's why we are unique. That's why you should invest in us.
And that is what makes me question, how unique can my idea be? Like, very unique, too unique, or even moderate unique?
Okay, so then the question is, no, hold the mic, don't give it up. So, how different is your paint from the other big companies?
Yes, my uniqueness is in the coatings. My coatings come with color. My competitors give it to you when it is like white, then you have to buy a top coat. Me, I give it to you in your desired color. So they always ask me, how come this big company doesn't give us this paint in our desired color?
So then you tell them that's my unique innovation. That's why I stand out. That's a clear differentiation right there. You already add something that these big companies don't have, which is quite unique. Because you tell them, all the big companies just give you the raw painting, the raw paints. I make it customized. And that's my unique selling from the USP. So maybe these investors don't understand your industry. But it's sometimes when investors don't understand something, that's what they tell you. So, investors are very proud people. It doesn't, I have money, and you don't have money, so I don't need to show you that. so he's trying to tell you that I don't know what you're saying, but I don't need to know. So you have to read between the lines also sometimes, right? When you're talking to someone that doesn't understand, and this is where researching the investors you talk to is important. The point I made to you earlier. See, for me, for example, I didn't know what you said, but I don't mind asking. For me, I see life as a learning journey. So today I've learned something from you. I didn't know that you have to, there's a raw paint, there's coated paint, you can't even remember it now, right? But some people will not ask you. I don't care exposing my knowledge, my ignorance, because ignorance is a disease. If you don't ask, you never cure it. Right. So now, even if I'm going to buy paint for my house, I'm going to do something with painting. Because of what you told me now, I know something. So when someone sells me something, I'm like, no, it's yours. What did he say? Say it again. Say the painting that I forgot. Say it again. Yes, tell me your unique selling position again.
We customize it. We bring our paint with color.
Correct. You customize. Now if I go buy paint, is your paint customized or not? So I learned something from you, right? Yeah. But some investors will not ask. Some people are too proud to ask, or they don't want to ask, or for whatever reason. I'm not condemning anyone. People are different. I just say that for me, when I don't know something, I ask. And that's why I ask you. I mean, this gentleman just educated me about his brother. Because for me, investing is also about learning, right? A lot of fun. I learned so much from founders. Because in this life, you can't know everything.
Yeah.
But it's okay if you don't know to ask. And I always ask, but I don't know what. So now you've educated me about that. But maybe I cannot be an investor because obviously, like I said, I don't know. You can see I don't know that industry. And most investors invest in what they know. So if somebody doesn't know something, and somehow you present it to them, some people will ask you, okay, can you explain to me? Some will say, oh yeah, I don't know, yeah. So I hope you know.
I think what he's trying to say is own up to the uniqueness.
Yeah.
And just lean into it. Yeah.
And then find investors who invest in your industry. You'll find someone eventually. So don't give up. I mean, what you explained to me is unique. It's very clear to me without even knowing the industry that you got something that is different from good, and that should be what you push all the time. And that, by the way, have you patented that? Is this something you can patent? We're supposed to talk about IP and patents. You know about IP, patents, all that stuff?
Why?
We're in the process with the YSA Youth Wealth.
Yeah. She was one of the finalists in the last cohort.
Okay. So you're in the process of pitching.
Yeah.
So you should patent that.
Yeah.
That's a uniqueness that you should patent. And IP, patent is very important. Sometimes, a lot of these companies that you hear, they call billion-dollar companies. The real value is in the IP, the patent. So they have a unique idea. You have a unique approach to patent. You patent it. And when you patent it, because it's unique to you, it gives your company a huge value. So I would say you should really patent that idea very quickly if any of these big companies do.
And that's one way to answer the question is why haven't these big guys done what you're doing? It's because we've patented.
There you go. There you go.
Thank you, Eric. My name is Edward Opio, founder Vision 555. We help companies integrate innovation into what they do, especially by training. You shared something on your LinkedIn recently about startups, the funding raised so far this year. And it got me thinking, am I in the wrong industry or what? So my direct question to that is, as a founder, do I follow the money or do I follow purpose? But more, I'm interested in knowing that from the perspective of a founder, but also as an investor for the future, you know.
Good question. So generally, I advise founders to follow purpose. And sometimes following your purpose can be hard because it may not be the most popular thing to do. It may not be the most popular sector. David started a tourism tech. It was our first tourism tech investment. And it took me a while. I said, Eric, nobody understands what I'm doing. Even today, tell a lot of people, Eric is the only one who understands what we're doing. Oh, I invested in just because Eric invested. Which is fine. I'm having to take that credit. But the point I'm making is that it's okay to follow your purpose in an industry and a sector that people don't understand and don't appreciate now. They would eventually. And so then you have to find a strategy of how do you survive and keep doing it till they come around. So you may have a side hustle. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. To that also in following purpose. And for majority of the startups here, this is for many of them, it's their first one.
Yeah.
Or the first one they've actually gone through the registration process to actually formalize and actually get it done. Talk to me about the timelines of what it takes to get your idea out there. Because I think, with the youthful energy, people, have an idea, register it tomorrow, by Friday they expect to be billionaires, right? And if they're not there, they give up, right?
Yeah.
Right. So how do you bridge that?
Yeah, good question. We live in a world of what I call instant gratification. Right, today the Gen Z and the millennial, now they call them alpha. That's the new term I heard. They call them alpha. They're all nice things. But there's this world where people want things to happen today. I'm sorry to tell you that in this entrepreneurial world, it takes a minimum of 10 years. When I went into investing, I told myself, I'm going to get my first return in 20 years. You know why I told myself 20 years? Because in the rest of the world, in Silicon Valley, the life cycle is 10 years. But I say in Africa, everything is double. You know, things that people do one day, you know that, right? Raising a company in other places, one in Africa, how long did it take you to raise your company?
Like me?
Yeah.
It has taken me like about 4 years in preparation.
There you go. So to raise his company, it's taking 4 years. It's a reality, you know, you have to ground yourself in reality. There's nothing wrong with it. There was a time when in America, you raised a company in 10 years, by the way. America is not what it is today overnight. America has been around for 200 plus years. The democracy has been built for years. So there's nothing wrong with where Africa is or where Kampala is. We are not saying this, I'm not downgrading. I invest in Africa, I invest in Kampala. Because I see the potential. You are the next big company. So it's not about denigrating where Kampala is, but it's about the reality of where Kampala is. You can't wish it away. But you have to learn to work within that reality of where Kampala or Uganda is to get to where you want to get. It's the same thing with your company. You know, when you start a company, you know, you have a big vision, I want to build a big company, that's what we're talking about, and it takes time. You have to keep doing it and making success every day. And it takes a minimum of 10 years. Guys, it takes every company, you go research, most companies that are successful and still around, it's a minimum of 10 years. Oh yeah, they will tell you all the stories, Instagram stories, so I just started yesterday and today I became a millionaire. That's bullshit. So let's cut it out. But it takes a minimum of 10 years. You know, Ted was saying, I mean, this is our 10th year, Chance Company, we're for 10 years. And that's what we learned in 10 years, our first 10 years. In our first 10 years, we've learned how to look at the founder in the face and build conviction and then put in money. And out of that, our first company, we have 4 companies that are profitable. It's taken me 10 years to be able to look at a founder and work with them to get to profitable. It took me 10 years. The next 10 years now, what we want to focus on is how do you get this company to scale up? So now, the next 10 years of my, remember I told you 20 years is when I'm going to exit? So now I need another 10 years to help at least these 4 companies. We have 30 companies in our portfolio. So you see how much work I have to do? But I'm going to take the first 4 out of the 10 and try to see how can I help them scale up. Because if I cannot help them scale up and become big enough, then I cannot prove that I can take a company, a founder can come with an idea, and I can put in some capital and help them get to profitability in one country where they're making money, one of them is paying dividends. Then now I can help it expand into multiple countries so it's big enough either to exit, to be acquired, to exit, or to go to the capital market. At our first company, we want to take it public. But the capital market guy says, you got to be in multiple countries. So that's the next challenge you have to do. That's another 10 years of hard work. And I'm going to do it every day. Every day I'm going to wake up, I'm going to go to sleep. I'm thinking of these 3 companies, how do I get them to scale up? So that's really what it takes, guys. If you don't have 10 years, please resign and get a job in the bank.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. So I would like to start from there. Do the investors have the knowledge or the will to be patient for those 10 years?
Yeah. Any investor who's not willing for that, don't take the money. That's immediately you are dealing with the wrong investor. And you know, a lot of these companies that have failed, that's the problem they have. They took money from investors who think, oh, you know, let me tell you how it works. So you know, you told the investor, oh, in the next 3 years I'll be $1 billion company. You know that's what you told them? Over promise? Yeah, you know that over promise? Yeah, so they believed you. They said, oh yeah, he's going to be a billionaire in 3 years. Oh yeah, so I'll give you all the money he's on. Then 3 years now, you don't even have product market fit. He hasn't even rented his company. So you see the reality has hit him. You see the reality has hit him. Then now you're telling the investor, oh, I don't know how to raise a car. Oh, the registration company in Uganda, they took all the time. Yeah, I gave you the paper, but that's you told them you'll be $1 billion company in 3 years. That's what you sold them. And they gave you the money. Now the reality has hit you and you're not blaming the registration authorities, blaming everybody else, but yourself.
Yes, thank you. But again, on the same issue, you actually told us that it's better to do realistic projections for between 3 to 5 years, right?
Correct.
So now, if I would like to know, when you were presenting about founders being too early for the market, now when do I realize? Because there are some businesses like, I think, Safe Order, who even Mobile Money itself, they came in when the market didn't expect.
them.
At what moment can you tell that now I'm too early, or should I give up? Or
No, that's one of the things that makes you a founder, right? And if I can tell you how to do that, then there's no magic. Then you don't have any magic. Right? So and that's the genius of a founder. Yeah, actually, there's a talk done by a guy called David Gross. You should Google David Gross TED Talk on timing. So he has come up with a new one additional matrix. So we look at three things, which I explained to you, right? Founder, team, product, market, right? We talk about that. David Gross came up with a study where he looked at some of the most successful recent companies, especially the social media companies. And he said a lot of these companies are not new ideas. Uber is not a new idea, Facebook's not a new idea, all of them. He said what these guys got right was timing. So he explains, he said Uber, the reason Uber worked was that Uber came at a time when it was after the financial crisis. People had big houses and they had 10 bedrooms and yet you sleep in only one. Even if you are sleeping one every day, you can't sleep in 10 rooms one night. Right? You can't sleep 1 hour in this room, then you wake up, then you go sleep 1 hour in that room. Nobody does that, right? So in the night, you sleep in one room, but you have 9 rooms. So he says, okay, how about you put it on my platform? And then Eric is in town, instead of you going to pay $350 at Sheraton, he can stay in your room and pay you $100. So you get income right away. So that room that you don't sleep in, but you have a mortgage on your house, the mortgage will come, you have to pay. The mortgage time will come, if you don't pay, the bank will possess the house. But if you're giving that room, 9 rooms, you gave Eric 1 room, any visitor who comes to Kampala to take 1 room, that will be what, $900 a night. At the end of the month, how much will you have made? Think about it for a minute. So you've made enough money to pay your mortgage. So Ted goes like, I think that's a good idea. I'm in my house alone. Anyway, I don't need all this room. Then suddenly you're now making what? Probably $20,000 just renting those rooms in your house. And then the mortgage is what, $15,000. You made $5,000 profit on top. And that $5,000 you can use to take care of the house. So suddenly, the house that was a burden because you have to pay mortgage, now it's not a burden. Because somebody came up with a simple idea. Same thing with your car. You know, you close from when you get home. After you park your car at home, the car is just there. And you're in the living room watching TV. Meanwhile, the car mortgage is going to come. And your salary has been cut by half. And you have wife and kids. You know, you have family to take care of. And now you're worried. So, Uber comes and say, hey, you know, you can give people a ride. You can give Eric a ride from Sheraton to Hive Colab, and then he will pay you $20. You don't need a license. All you have to do is download an app on your phone and then make yourself available. So Eric will just book you, and then you ride him, you drop him off, he pays 20. When you get the car Hive Colab, you find somebody who's going to the airport, you give them a ride. You do that for 2 hours. That 2 hours that you're watching TV wasting, your car is there. All you have to do is buy petrol. And then you drive people around, you make money. In the evening you go to sleep, you make $500. You do it every day in the week. End of the week you made how much? $2,500. In a month, how much is that? Boom. You have a side hustle. So the thing that Uber got right, it's not a new idea. People give people right all the time. Right? But because of the timing, they got the timing right. It was post-financial crisis where people had assets, but they didn't have liquidity. L'argent, money. It's all liquidity problem. So Facebook, Uber became successful because of the timing in which they became popular. Actually, I have a friend, I tell you very funny, a friend, he got Uber at 10 million valuation. So the Uber founders came to him when their total valuation was 10 million. And he told them this idea would never work. Leave my office now. You guys are crooks. Yeah, and now he regrets it. He had Uber, and he could have written $1 million check, and it wouldn't have done anything to him. And he would have owned about 10% of that company.
Wow. Wow. So timing is very important. Thank you. Let me just ask this last one. But before, my name is Muyinda Barbara, and I'm the founder of Topmost Solutions. So, yes, we are full of ideas, but currently I'm into monitoring and evaluation. I'm also a reggae dancehall live band performer. So as we solve African challenges, recently the president was addressing while they passed the budget, and he was saying what has failed us Ugandans is we are defining businessmen as people who are going to import second-hand clothes and bringing them back into our market. But a person who will go to a factory in Kapeka and bring the thing to the market is not referred to as a business person. So I think we also have a big challenge in the mentality there.
Absolutely.
But my question would go, while we build these teams as founders, through your experience, is it advisable, because as youths, we have a big challenge of hiring. So I may not be in the position to hire the experts and this and this. So is it advisable to negotiate on percentage of the company, or I actually look for the hiring funds?
Very good question. I'll double click on the first point that His Excellency the President made. Very important point. The most successful countries in the world are countries where the locals create businesses, solve problems. That solving of a problem, and this is what you are doing, is that you fix something that is not working in the economy, because the economy works when things are fixed. And by doing that, you then create the fabric of the economy, where the solutions, and by creating those solutions, you create businesses. Those businesses employ people, they pay taxes, and because you employ people, people have better lives to live. They can take care of themselves, they can take care of their families. So you see that, so that's how economies work. So His Excellency the President is right. And there's nothing wrong with people importing businesses. But when you then don't recognize people who build businesses from ground up as business people, then you create a big misnomer. Because if all you're doing is importing to your economy, then you're only consuming. And when you're on the consumption side of the equation, you are never going to be competitive. I mean, nobody is competitive eating. Have you had an eating competition before? Yes. So you'll not be competitive being on the consumption side of the equation. So he's trying to say something that's very important, that as a society, we need to start recognizing people like you who are starting companies. You are also businessmen, or you, in my view, you are the real businessman. Because what you're doing is very difficult. You know, the thing that you import from there, you know, there are company, business people like you in those countries that manufacture them. True or false? True. So, if you don't recognize the people that manufacture, that create the production side of the equation in your country, you are going to be consuming what people produce. And if you're only consuming what people produce, what it means is that you can never grow. You can never be competitive. So His Excellency the President is very right. We as Africans and as Uganda, you have to start buying from local people. Even if the thing is not as good as the foreign one, buy the local one and give him feedback. Because do you remember there was a time you didn't like Chinese product? We all thought Chinese product was inferior. How many of you remember? There was a time when somebody gives you a Chinese product, you don't even collect it. It was inferior. Chinese product breaks all the time. But today, Chinese products are one of the best, because the Chinese kept getting feedback. Anytime you told them that they'll fix it, they kept doing it. And today, they build some of the best products in the world. So there's nothing wrong with starting and doing things that don't work well, but you must be committed to improving. So when somebody gives you feedback, your software didn't work, I give you a feedback, don't get angry. Take that feedback. Oh, okay, so it didn't work this way. Fix it. And then take it back to the person. Okay, I'll fix it. Try it again. Oh, it didn't work again. He will insult you, but fine. Take the feedback. Forget about the insult. You are trying to build something. Focus on the substance. People who abuse you, they'll call it. Don't worry about that. You are trying to build a business. Focus on what the customer is telling you. Some customer will call you and insult you the whole day. You feel so bad. I'm trying to build a company. This boy, I don't even. Forget about all the things they're saying. What is not working? You know what the customer is said? Because you told him I'll deliver something and the thing didn't work. Focus on the problem. Solve it. When you finish solving it, call the customer back. I say, thank you for insulting me the other day. I've solved the problem. Try it and let's see. He will try it. Oh, it's working. You're my best friend. That's the person who was insulting you before, the day before. Once you solve the problem, you're my best friend. You made this thing work. The mic, this mic is the best mic in the world. He will tell everybody. But you see, if you didn't focus on solving the problem, you focus on the insult. Why did he insult? Because the thing didn't work. It's true. You told him the mic will work like this and it didn't work. So he has the right to insult you. So, but forget about the insult. Focus on solving. Once you solve the problem, now you say, Don's mic is the best mic in the world. This mic, nobody makes mic like this. And you know what he will do? He will tell his friend. Because when you do something that you like, you tell everybody. Now he'll be your ambassador. But if you focus on the insult he said, you are fighting him. Zero. You don't solve the problem. He becomes your enemy. Your business will go anywhere. So unfortunately in Africa, we focus on the minor things, right? And that point that is excellent the president made is a very important point. You should start consuming local products. I wear African shirts all the time. I have a design home base for. You know why? Of course I can wear Western shirts. Of course I'm wearing a Western jeans. But the day I have an African person making jeans, I'll buy it. You know, see my shirt? It looks like a nice shirt. Isn't it nice? You know how I got it? The first time this guy made me a shirt, this designer, I couldn't even wear it in my bedroom. I wore it in my bedroom. The shirt, the line was here. So I took a photo of it and I sent it to him. You know, Adam, he's not a big fashion designer in Ghana. I took a photo and I went to his office. I said, the shirt you gave me, I paid it for it, but the shirt, when I wore it, look at me. The line is here. I can't take it to a meeting. So I sat with him. I didn't know how to. I said, okay, I'll sit here, measure me again, do it again. He felt very frustrated, but I was patient. Because for me, if I can help him make a shirt, that would be nice on me. Now I can wear it, I can tell my friends, and I'm helping him. So it's a way of investment. Okay, he didn't give me shares for it, I didn't ask for anything, but I can wear a shirt that I like. Isn't this shirt nice? Right? But it took me work because I have to believe in him. I believed that he could do it. He needed a chance. So I sat with him a whole day. He took my measurement again. He did it again. After the second time, it came close, but it wasn't there. He said, everybody that's close. I said, no. Because you're going to compete with other shirts in the world. You know, he's wearing a nice suit. If you make an African suit, and your suit, you see this suit he's wearing, you know, you can see somebody is perfect. So if you're the African, you're competing with this suit maker from Europe. If your suit is here, he will not wear it because the suit has to be here. It's perfect. You understand? So you're competing globally. So when you are building, you have to understand, it's not Ugandan standard. No, me, I'm building for Uganda. No. Because the guy who is importing into Uganda, he's competing with you from there. You get a point? You know why the local businesses, they import it? Because it's easier to import the suit that is already made. Yeah. And it's like, you just buy it. I mean, then I don't have to hustle with this guy, my shirt is here, and you're saying he doesn't understand. No, why is it? It has come close. He said, but I'm close. I said, no, it has to be here. You know? You get a point. So you have to understand that you are competing, the world is a global place. So it doesn't matter if you are in Bukoto, you are building in Bukoto, but you are competing. Why the businessman imports? Because it's easy to import. He doesn't have to explain why the shirt is here and all that stuff. But what it means is that you're just consuming. So you can never grow the economy that way. So His Excellency is making an important point. Until you consume your local product and manufacture locally, you cannot be competitive. Actually, today, if I was not here, you know where I would have been? We're going to Kira Motors. Kira Motors is pioneering EVs in Uganda. A lot of investors, my friends, all of them are there, but I like this, so I have to be here. But the reason we are doing it is because it's a company in Uganda that's making EVs. It's taking them 10 plus years or so. I've been doing it for a long time. Yeah. But that's what it takes. They're finally getting there. International investors are going to look at it. It's asking the friends. Very soon, Uganda will start manufacturing electric vehicles. Can you imagine how many jobs to create? The image you get, but it took 10 years plus. It's been around for a long time. Right? So that's what it takes. And you have to be committed to that.
I think I'll reserve for only 2 questions because we've run out of time. We could be here all day, but he's got somewhere to go. I'll have him here. Perfect.
Thank you very much for the opportunity and for giving us this insightful session. Mine is like a reality check. Yes. So 3 years ago, we happened to have a side hustle that has actually grown into one of the businesses we are under here. I'm called Alan Nigeria. I founded Ticket.io. So 3 years ago, there was only one player in Uganda actually, one serious player, cricket. However, this year, I think previously they have been in the market and the market wasn't ready, and we came and we grew However, we have MTN, Airtel, Stanbic in the bucket.
I even know the company that MTN bought to compete with you from Kenya.
So, that day when I saw MTN enter the market, I was like, I need to leave this thing. And it's my friends that had to encourage me and be like, no, you've already put in time in this. So, one thing I wanted was to at least meet an investor and ask, like, is it really sensible for a startup to stick in a market where there is something like Stanbic, MTN, Airtel, Quicket, or the investor needs to look for the back door? Usually, as investors, we are really stuck with our ideas of this thing. Yes. So, in such a scenario,
what do you do?
Yes.
Okay, good question. Very, very good question. There are two things. You missed something in your entrepreneurial journey. I told you. So when MTN Uganda was going to go into ticketing, they went and bought a Kenyan company. They could have bought you and have made you a millionaire. And then you sell it. Now, when you start your next company, you have millions in the bank. You will do it differently. You will invest in a lot of other people. So unfortunately, of course, life we all learn. You didn't know that. So you asked, how did that company in Kenya position themselves to be bought by a Ugandan company? And I was right here, and I didn't get bought. That's the second thing that I'm trying to figure out, which is scale up. So building a company is one thing. Being able to sell your company is a different craft, which you have to learn. How do you build a company in a way that when a big company wants to go into what you're doing, they'll buy you? You hear a lot of mergers and acquisitions. So it's not that it's not there. Right? But somebody in Kenya was able to position themselves to be bought by a Ugandan company when you were here and developed the market. So you need to admit that there's some learning to be done. But the second point you have to make, the fact that all these guys are entering the ticketing market should tell you that you're on the right track. It's validation. Now, what you have to do is that because you are the pioneer, then you have to think, how do I be ahead of all of them? That is what will give you the competitive advantage. Because the reality is that everything that you build, people will copy. That's just how life works. Unfortunately, it's just really your life. She's cracking her and she's like, oh, yeah, you're like, don't you copy when some of your friend does something like that? Somebody in your neighborhood makes a farm and now he's got 2 million tomatoes. You also make a farm, don't you?
I'm curious why she's laughing. Was she copied or she copied?
I was copied.
And then what happened?
I was copied and, but she didn't make it.
No, there's a...
This
Pass your first.
I can pass. We'll come to you, don't worry.
Thank you so much. I'm Akelo Cleopatra. I founded an organic foods manufacturing company, but basically, first we're dealing with non-communicable diseases, and then we changed to stress related to immunity of the body. So this person was actually my best friend that came out in campus. We started building the company. But then she copied me behind my back, doing exactly what I was doing, using the same graphics designer.
I'm sorry.
So I was copied, but she couldn't make it because she wasn't patient. She wanted quick money. Yeah.
So she's not in business,
so she's not
but you're still in business.
I'm still in business.
Voila. So you have to realize that the listener's
execution.
Yes, it's execution. Stay your course. People will always copy you. Forget about it. You know, if somebody is copying you, you should be happy. It's validation. And you're doing something right. But what you have to do is, how do I stay ahead of the competition? That's what you must do. Staying ahead is going to be your competitor. The day you start fighting them, you look back. You know, in life, when you're going like this, and someone is behind you, they'll always be behind you. The day you do like this, what did you do? You stop going forward. When you're going, somebody is talking at your back. And you keep going, you go away from the noise to your destiny. But the day you turn back and you start fighting with them, what did you do? You left going forward and you started going back. So that's life, that's the principle of life.
Thank you so much. I'm Joseph Mukasa. I'm the CEO of Healthline Promotion Africa. I'm at the Center of Prevention in Uganda. And the setup I'm running right now is just connecting any Ugandan to the right doctor globally. So,
To the what?
to the doctor, to the specialist you need.
Oh, doctor. Oh,
Yes. Right now, like the way you are, you can get yourself the right doctor and get the medication, starting from the testing to the treatment. So that's it. But before I went to this startup, I had initiated an idea where everyone, communities could get immunization. But I found myself being fought by the government institution, National Drug Authority, through their policies. But also, they were also bribed by a hospital, which was an Indian, I won't mention the name. They bribed them around 400 millions just to chase away all the players, the local players, so that they can import their own drugs from India, Serum Institute, to do the job themselves. So my question is, do the investors have considerations to look into such things? Now, like Kenya, the fintechs could be affected because of these issues, the policy, the financial things, all those things. So my question is, do the investors have like a leeway how they can look into those things, maybe into insurances, looking into all those challenges, Africa, politics, many other things. So I don't know whether they have that kind of thing so that they can help in maybe not pushing away the founder, but at least to see that they can work with the founder to keep the startup going. Thank you.
Thank you. So one of the things that investors can't solve all the problems. Unfortunately, it's the real admission of life, right? Investors, really focus on sectors where they think that founders can independently create value. And the best investors do is sort of help create the ecosystem, help add value, and help. Okay, if we can influence policy, we'll do it, but it's not the main responsibility of investors to affect policy. Because what you understand is that capital is tribal, and it goes where it's appreciated. So, as I said to you, if I want to invest in your health, so we invested in a health tech business this year called Revia in Ghana. Go to reviaco.com. And healthcare is one area that we've had the most failure in, as personally my investment journey. Because health and edtech is very hard. Like, it's hard. Why? Because health and education has a public policy component. And generally, in an economic stratosphere, education and health are seen more from a public good perspective, right? So the thing is, everybody needs to have education because education keeps you up the economic ladder. So there's always a public option, right? And same with health. If people are not healthy, they can go to school. And so health has a public option always. So when you're a private person providing a health option, they were always like, I can go to the hospital next door, the government hospital, and get this for free. Why should I pay you to get doctors from around the world who are going to charge me 10,000 Ugandan shillings? So that's a fundamental fight that you deal with. And on top of it, what you mentioned is now you have the government supporting the importing of those things. And I was very glad when he made a point about his excellent president talking about why we need to encourage and support local entrepreneurs. And that is a very important, I've emphasized this many times because it's an important public policy consideration. If public policy does not understand why local entrepreneurs must be supported, then you have a long way to go. And I tell you, like people like Ted and others who've been in the ecosystem long now, these are fights that they fought for years to convince governments and policymakers to understand why they have to support local entrepreneurs like yourself. So I know there's a long fight that has gone on for many years. And finally you have the head of state saying that. So you've come a long way. So it's going to change, but it's going to take time. The fact that he's saying it, he will start putting in policy, the policy will start driving down, but it will take time. But, in the meantime, you did it done yesterday. So I understand, but, that's sort of the pragmatic way. So, and also answers your question. I'll answer your question different by saying that The fact that the president said that means that it's going to go to policy. So it's going to go to health policy. So you're going to ask the health minister, why are you not supporting local entrepreneurs? You know, why are you supporting a foreign company to kill local entrepreneurship? I mean, he won't say it directly, but that's a point, right? So it will get there. But the point, I'm not trying to shift responsibility from investors. I'm just trying to make you understand that that is something that is not the remit of investors. It's the remit of public policy. And the public policy makers, I'm saying that they are beginning to realize this and realize that they have to support local entrepreneurs. So it will get there, but maybe it will take longer. So you gotta hang it there. And hopefully it will get there.
Yeah. Okay, one final question.
Good afternoon. My name is George Mukuru, team leader at Linton Box Packaging. We manufacture sustainable packaging solutions for SMEs. In the current landscape, we are having many small businesses that are facing challenges, especially when it comes to sustainable packaging. They lack the knowledge, they lack the expertise, and also when they go to these large existing manufacturers, they normally find a problem with the minimum order quantities that the large existing packaging producers require. So that's how we come in. We give minimum order quantities to the SMEs so that they can stand out and also stand up to competition, both international and also nationally. So my question is, recently we have investors who are interested in us. They are from Turkey. We've been in a discussion with them since last year. They have come to Uganda. They have done due diligence on us for a number of times. They were here in March again. And so the thing is, they expect us again to contribute some money into the business. They are bringing their machinery and everything, and then they expect us to contribute some money. So recently, when I met an investor, we talked to him about the business. He said, I have all the money. How much do you need? So we set the price. Said, this is very little money. It's very little. But then I don't understand your business. I don't understand the way packaging works. So I okay, let us send you our documentations and this and this and this for everything. Please give me your email. We sent him our documentations, everything. But then last weekend, when I called him, he said, I still don't understand your business. I was like, fine. I think maybe I should just give it a rest. So my question is, how then can we find, how effectively can we find investors who are financially capable of investing in our businesses, but also understand the business? Because I don't go to an Indian who has the same business and say, please invest in me. Because the Indian will say, no, I'm not done in this kind of business. How can we do that then? Thank you.
Yeah, that's a very tough question to end the day. Very, very tough question.
Yeah, and I think it follows his question that he wanted to put forward is in how do you find that right investor for your business?
So the challenge there is that that's a very hard question to answer. Right? It means that there's nobody in Uganda who is successful in your business. So that person, that investor, that local investor, as you, can see the potential of the business. But he or she is like, I don't know this business. And that's the right attitude, because every industry has a secret. And that's why somebody has, everyone invests in everything. I can't invest in it because I don't know every industry. Right? So investors invest in what they know. So he can see the potential of what you're doing. It's like, but I don't know this business. So how do I measure success? How do I know whether you're succeeding or failing? Right? So it's unfortunate that you find yourself in that context. So I can give you a little suggestion. Maybe you should go look for somebody who is in Uganda who has been successful in your business, in your industry. It's only Indians. Yeah, that'd be a problem. Anyway, but the idea I was trying to drive at is one way to solve that is to find someone who is successful in your industry. And if this investor knows that person or knows him or her through someone, then that person can be the person that educates him or her. I'm sure this investor is an older person, right? So maybe your dad's age. So you want to find somebody who's been successful in your dad's age. That person may not have a lot of money, but if that person is a successful entrepreneur or knows that industry, that person can then have a communication with this person where some knowledge transfer can happen. The reason it's not getting because you are sending it in your format. But you see, that that guy, he consumes information in a different format. So you think, oh, I sent you all the information, but what do you mean you don't understand what they're doing? Right? It's just a generational thing though. So the way he consumes information and all that guy, it's a different way to consume and learn things. So he's not able to consume it the way you give it to him. It doesn't mean that he's not smart. It just means that he consumes things in a different way. So what I'm trying to say is that you may want to find somebody who can educate him or her in the way that him or her will understand. So that's sort of the suggestion I'll give you, right? So to find somebody who's his age mate, somebody who knows your industry, okay, somebody that he may trust or he may know, it's not easy, right? But then if you get somebody like that, that person can then say, okay, and explain to him, and he may even say that, okay, then we are invest through that person, so I'll make that person a board member. Because there I heard that he's used that person to de-risk the investment. Remember we talk about de-risking when I invest? Because the reason I invest in industry that I know is because I can de-risk the investment. So that he's seen the opportunity. He's willing to take the risk, but he doesn't know how to de-risk. That is the problem he's dealing with you. Because like, oh, what about if he fails? Because I don't have any de-risking mechanism because I don't know the industry.
Got it. Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately we do have to close it, otherwise we could be here forever. And Africa's and Uganda's problems, and especially in the investment space, are very, very large. We had only 2 hours to actually get this done. I want to thank you, Eric, for once again offering your vast knowledge in this ecosystem, contributing, also writing the willingness to write checks in risky environments. Because it takes people like you to actually be the first to write the check, and then maybe someone else will be inspired to actually do the same. We really hope that you took something out of this as you're building your questions. You need to go to your next door, not so. But yeah, give us just a few minutes. Yeah, stick around, have a few drinks with us, and we'll be very, very happy for you to come back the next time around for the next cohort and have a conversation.
I'll come back.
Absolutely.
I really find out where you got the building here. I want to be part of it. Even if I didn't write a check, at least share my experience.
Yeah.
And then, helping answer questions helps you get somewhere.
But sometimes that knowledge is more valuable than the actual check, because you could write a check and they without the knowledge, and then they fail. But with the knowledge, hopefully they're able to actually succeed.
So
exactly. Yeah. So thank you, everybody. A big round of applause. Thank you so much, and we'll see you guys next time. Let's head upstairs for a few minutes. Last few questions, some drinks, and.